What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 3TR Chapter 41. Hyuga Neji's realization. Xiao Li, who stayed where he was, had not yet reacted. What do you mean? I forgot everything, why do you say it's good? It seems that I have realized something, but it seems that I have not realized anything. The more Xiao Li thought about it, the bigger his brain became, but he didn't want to understand and felt unwilling to do so. After all, Mizuki said that if you practice Tai Chi to a high level, you can withstand all attacks. Forget it, keep exercising. Master Mizuki asked me to go back and understand it carefully. Once I understand it, I will learn it, then I will understand it slowly. The next day, Team 5, led by Might Guy, came to the 8th training ground to practice. He practices ninja tools every day, Neji practices Gentle Fist, and Guy and Xiao Li practice taijutsu. Konoha taijutsu is divided into two major schools, Guken style and Gentle Fist style. Gentle Fist is exclusive to the Hyuga family and needs to be used in conjunction with the Byakugan. Guken also has different inheritances, such as Might Guy's 8 inner gates, Tsunade's strange power, etc. At this time, Guy and Xiao Li were driving 8 inner gates and practicing Lotus. Everyone is serious. When we are tired from practicing, everyone sits together to rest, and takes out snacks and drinks from the storage scroll every day. Guy suddenly said, Li, you were practicing today, why do you look so absent-minded? Xiao Li said, I'm sorry, Mr. Guy. I was exposed to a new physical technique yesterday, but I haven't learned it yet. I've been thinking about it. Guy became interested and asked, what kind of physical technique is it? Xiao Li replied, Master Mizuki taught me Tai Chi. Hearing the word, Tai Chi, Ning Ri suddenly looked up. Guy was stunned for a moment and asked, Mizuki, does he know how to do taijutsu? Yesterday in the Hokage building conference room, Guy got to know Mizuki again. Apparition, Rasengan, and the courage to face the third generation's accusations without fear. Guy's face turned serious and he said, tell me about Tai Chi. Xiao Li scratched his head and said, I don't know what to say. I haven't learned Tai Chi at all. Master Mizuki demonstrated it yesterday, but I have forgotten it all. Tianshan asked curiously, is it very complicated? Xiao Li. It's not complicated, it's just, how should I put it, very strange. Guy said, describe it. Xiao Li said, yesterday I was training outside the village. Master Mizuki found me and asked me to call him master. He also said he would teach me a profound physical technique. He was not good at lying, and his face turned red when he said this. But it would be even more embarrassing if he revealed the reason why he went to become a disciple in order to pursue little Sakura. Guy said speechlessly, it's just a disciple. Why are you blushing? I didn't say you can't be a disciple of others. It was obvious that Guy had misunderstood. After I became a disciple, Master Mizuki told me that the physical technique he was going to teach me was called Tai Chi. Xiao Li repeated Mizuki's original words. Contains the most fundamental principles of heaven and earth, such as yin and yang, movement and stillness, positive and negative, form and spirit. Use stillness to stop, use softness to overcome hardness, use slowness to beat speed. 4 ounces and 1,000 caddies can withstand all attacks. After Xiao Li finished speaking, Guy's expression became more serious. Tenten curled his lips and said, Li, have you been deceived? Mizuki is just a chunin, how could he possibly master such a taijutsu? He must have deceived you. Guy was noncommittal and asked, is there any more? Xiao Li. Master Mizuki demonstrated it once. After the demonstration, he asked me how much I remembered. The first time I said I remembered 80%, Master didn't say anything. After a while he asked me how much I remembered, and I said 30%, but Master still didn't say anything. The third time I asked, I said I had completely forgotten it. But Master Mizuki smiled, patted me on the shoulder and said it was good. Advertisement, I still don't understand what it means. Tianshan becomes more convinced that Xiao Li has been deceived. Guy didn't speak, but frowned and thought. The one who had the biggest reaction was Neji. His eyes were dull and he was mumbling something. Use stillness to stop, use softness to overcome hardness, use fastness to defeat slowness, use 4 ounces to move 1,000 pounds. Yin and yang, positive and negative. These words were repeated over and over again in his mouth, and the more he said them, the brighter his eyes became. Suddenly, he jumped up and shouted, I know. Xiao Li and Tianshan looked at Neji with confused expressions. What do you know? Neji came to the open space aside, and a large amount of chakra was released from various acupuncture points on his body, and his body began to rotate at high speed like a top. A blue hemispherical chakra envelope surrounds him. This is revolving heaven, which can withstand all physical damage and is known as absolute defense. What's wrong with Neji? Tianshan asked curiously. Guy didn't understand either and just said, Neji seems to have understood something and is experimenting. In the field, Neji's rotation speed began to decrease, and the chakra ejected from his body also began to decrease. Until finally, Neji stopped spinning completely. The chakra shield turned into a thin layer, like a bubble, which seemed to be able to burst with a poke. Tianshan, use your ninja tool to attack me, Tenten said. Are you sure, Neji? I feel like you're going to get hurt. Neji said, don't worry, just attack. The more ninja tools you have, the better. Okay. Tianshan had no choice but to take out the scroll, summon a large number of shurikens, and attack Neji. Of course, she restrained her strength. These shurikens were not fast and powerful. Even if they hit the body, they would only cause superficial injuries. The next moment, a scene that shocked Tianshan happened. After these shurikens hit the chakra shield around Neji, it was like hitting a soft sponge. It sank in, but could not break through it until the kinetic energy was exhausted and it fell gently to the ground. A large number of shurikens fell around Neji, but the chakra shield was never broken. How is this possible? Tianshan exclaimed. Such a thin layer of chakra shield can't resist the damage at all. Why can't the shuriken penetrate it? Guy and Xiao Li also felt incredible. Neji shouted, "Don't worry about me getting hurt, keep attacking, with all your strength." Tenten also became fierce and summoned hundreds of shurikens again, this time using all his strength. But the result remains the same. The thin chakra shield was still not broken. Neji, what's going on? It's obviously not revolving heaven, so why is the defense so strong? Guy couldn't help being curious and asked aloud. Neji paused and explained, I was inspired by the principles of yin and yang, positive and negative, and using softness to overcome strength, so I made changes to revolving heaven. The previous revolving heaven relied on the high-speed rotating chakra to deflect all attacks. It looked like a gentle fist, but it was actually a gang fist. It consumed a lot of physical strength and chakra. Inspired just now, I changed the chakra shield into tiny chakra vortices, alternating positive and negative, yin and yang complementing each other. I no longer forcefully deflect the attack, but rely on the chakra vortex to remove the damage from the shuriken. The force makes the shuriken lose its attack power. Compared to the previous revolving heaven, this one is the real gentle fist. After the change, the consumption of physical strength and chakra has been greatly reduced, and the defense power has not been reduced. Guy said happily. As expected of a genius, he can even change the Hyuga family's secret technique, revolving heaven. Neji said, thanks to Li. If his words hadn't inspired me, I would never have thought of the principle of using softness to overcome strength. Xiao Li opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Guy saw what Xiao Li was thinking and patted Xiao Li on the shoulder. Advertisement, Li Yo, you have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, no matter how hard you try, it will be in vain. Believe in yourself and work hard, this is the real youth. Guy gave a thumbs up, his teeth tinkling. The impassioned speech made Xiao Li's frustration disappear. Teacher Guy. Xiao Li burst into tears. Li, master and disciple cried together. On the side, Tianshan rolled his eyes. Neji had long been used to it. Neji, revolving heaven has been improved and is very different from before. It should be renamed. Have you decided what to call it? Neji nodded and said, yes, we should definitely give him a new name. At the same time, Mizuki came to Nara's pharmacy. Boss, I feel low on energy recently. I want to buy some refreshing medicine. Genjutsu, especially Aijutsu type Genjutsu, is one of Mizuki's weaknesses after all. Uchiha Itachi can use Tsukuyomi to instant Kakashi, but if he replaces it with Mizuki, the result will probably be similar. Boost your mental power and you may not be able to crack Tsukuyomi. But at least, after 3 days and 3 nights of being stabbed in the world of Tsukuyomi, he would not be like Kakashi, whose spirit was severely damaged and his combat effectiveness dropped to 0. The drugstore owner took out a bottle of medicinal solution. This bottle of toilet water contains alcohol, mint juice, snake gall, honeysuckle, etc. When used, apply it under the nose and on both sides of the forehead. It has a very refreshing effect. Oh, by the way, it also repels mosquitoes. Shengui, 15 taels. Mizuki paid the money and walked out of the store with the toilet water. I am going to find a reason to give this bottle of toilet water to Xiao Li and see what the system can return. The system returned the Tai Chi yesterday, let's try the effect. He walked out of the market and came to the nearest training ground, number 8. I found a quiet corner and started practicing Tai Chi. The movements are very slow, one move after another, and they seem to have no power. In the Hokage office, there is a crystal ball on 3rd generation's table. In the crystal ball, there is a real-time live broadcast of Mizuki doing Tai Chi. Physical skills. Why is it so weak? This boxing technique seems to be more suitable for the elderly to exercise. 3rd generation looked at it for a while, feeling bored, and prepared to close the telescope technique. At this moment, 3rd generation suddenly narrowed his eyes and moved his gaze to the tree next to Mizuki. Looking at the leaves blown by the wind, 3rd generation widened his eyes and murmured, what kind of tree is this? He looked at Mizuki in shock, eyes full of inquiry. The leaves are moving, which means there is wind. But Mizuki's clothes and hair remained motionless, not affected by the wind at all. The wind couldn't reach Mizuki at all. At this moment, the wind suddenly became stronger, and the dead leaves on the ground were picked up by the wind and swept towards Mizuki. 3rd generation clearly saw that when the leaves reached a place 2 meters away from Mizuki, they seemed to have encountered a barrier and changed their directions one after another, making an arc and bypassing Mizuki. The 2-meter radius around Mizuki seemed to be a restricted area, and no object could get close. Absolute defense similar to revolving heaven. 3rd generation squinted and looked at the picture in the crystal ball, becoming more and more afraid of Mizuki. The murderous intention that had been suppressed yesterday surged again. No, we can't keep him until the Chunin exam. He must be dealt with in advance. Otherwise, as Danzo said, there will be endless troubles. Killing by force is too risky. Even if you can kill him, Konoha will suffer huge losses. So it seems, only drugs. He put away the crystal ball, tapped his fingers on the table, and an Anbu appeared. Go tell Danzo I'll be waiting for him on the roof. Chapter 42. Chakra version of Tai Chi at the 8th training ground. Mizuki's punches and palm movements were extremely slow. To put it bluntly, Obito's grandma was even more agile than this when she spanked her grandson. But this is just an appearance. The area 2 meters around him became a restricted area. This area is filled with fists and palms that are invisible to the naked eye. These fists and palms are dancing, forming one yin-yang Tai Chi diagram after another, removing their strength from all approaching objects and pushing them away. Whether it is dead branches and leaves or rocks and sand, as long as you get closer to Mizuki for 2 meters, you will immediately encounter an invisible barrier and be bounced away by a gentle force. Even the wind couldn't break through and touch Mizuki's body. I tried defense, now let's try attack. He stopped, and the barrier immediately disappeared. As the wind blew, a lot of fallen leaves, sand and stones came towards him. Tai Chi started again, but the movements were still slow. As he waved his right palm lightly, the trajectories of the objects approaching him were immediately confused and collided with each other. The sand penetrated the leaves, and the branches collided and broke. In the blink of an eye, the area within 2 meters was completely empty. At Mizuki's feet, a Tai Chi diagram composed of broken branches, leaves, sand and gravel was quietly taking shape. Do you want to use your strength to gain strength? Mizuki had a realization in his mind. Under the stimulation of chakra, the power of Tai Chi is much more powerful than that in martial arts novels. Chakra is still more advanced than internal force. At this moment, Mizuki's thinking became more open. System. Check the properties panel. The next moment, an attribute bar that only Mizuki could see appeared in front of him. Open black lens bracket host. Mizuki close black lens bracket open black lens bracket chakra. 14.5 Kakashi close black lens bracket. Chakra control. 99.9999%. Ability parameters. Endurance 10, Physical 9, Illusion 2, Sage 8, Strength 7, Speed 7, Essence 10, Seal 10, Total 63. Ninjutsu. Upgraded 3 body technique, Earth Style. Earth Style. Tyrone Gun, Earth Style. Stone Mirror Wall, Sky Stepping Technique, Rasengan, Wind Style. Spiral Shuriken, 6 paths. Yin-Yang Rasengan Close Black Lens Bracket. Physical Skills. Tai Chi, Illusion, Not Mastered. Ninja Tools. Mind Control Chakra, Detonating Bomber. Disciple. Uzumaki Naruto, S-level qualification. Uchiha Sasuke, S-level. Haruno Sakura, A-level. Nobita, C-level. Rock Lee, A-level. The attribute table is clear at a glance. What Mizuki cares about most are the 8 ninja ability parameters. Among them, the 3 items of Forbearance, Jing, and Yin have full values, which is not surprising. Needless to say, there are no hand seals, so the full value is very reasonable. If the full score is not 10 points, Mizuki's parameters can definitely be higher in terms of seal. In terms of nin, although Mizuki doesn't have many ninjutsu, each of his ninjutsu is very advanced. Although getting 10 points is a bit far-fetched, there is nothing wrong with it. As for Jing, it has something to do with his time travel. He traveled through time and swallowed the soul and memory of the original Mizuki, so that his spiritual energy was higher than others, almost twice that of ordinary people, so he scored 10 points. Compared with the perfect score in these 3 items, the phantom item is terrible. It's also a good thing that he was studying the Narukami technique during this period, otherwise he might not even be able to get 2 points. The other items are all so-so. The total score is 63 points, which is not low, but not high either. Through the property panel, Mizuki has a more detailed understanding of itself. Advertisement. I know my strengths and weaknesses, and also understand the direction of future efforts. Next, while improving your mental strength, you must also step up your study of illusions. Although hexagonal warriors are not very smart, that is for people with average potential. Mizuki has unlimited potential with his system. Even if it is a hexagon, it is an outstanding hexagon in every aspect. After practicing Tai Chi, Mizuki began to study the Narukami technique. It was not until evening that he prepared to return to the village. When he arrived at the gate of the 8th training ground, he happened to meet Guy's 5th class. What a coincidence, Master Mizuki. Xiao Li asked happily when he saw Mizuki. Yes, what a coincidence, Mizuki greeted the 4 of them with a smile. Then he saw that Hyuga Neji, who had always been unsmiling, actually smiled back at him. This puzzled Mizuki. If I had known that Master Mizuki was also at the 8th training ground, I should have asked you for some Tai Chi advice. I thought about it all day today, but I still didn't figure it out. Instead, Neji figured it out first. What did Neji figure out? Mizuki glanced at Hyuga Neji, confused. Neji bowed to Mizuki and said, I learned from Xiao Li that Tai Chi uses softness to overcome hardness, and uses slow and fast physical skills. I used it in physical skills without permission. Please don't blame teacher Mizuki. Mizuki was amazed. Is this genius? You can understand something with just a few words. Is it too much to pervert? Unfortunately, due to quota restrictions, he is now unable to accept more disciples. Otherwise, Neji must be accepted no matter what. Such a genius is absolutely awesome. He smiled and said, "We are all ninjas of Konoha, you're welcome. You can understand something, but it's too late for me to be happy. How can I blame you?" Neji. "Thank you, teacher." After chatting for a while, Mizuki left. Before leaving, he took out the bottle of toilet water purchased from the drugstore and threw it to Xiao Li. "Li, this toilet water has the effect of refreshing the mind. If you feel tired from practicing and feel like you can't go on any longer, just apply some under your nose and on both sides of your forehead. By the way, it can also repel mosquitoes." My guy didn't speak the whole time. Although he was careless, he was not stupid. There is obviously an irreconcilable conflict between Mizuki and third generation. Although he has no objection to Mizuki, he will not openly be friends with Mizuki. After Mizuki left, Guy suddenly said, "Li Yo, try to have as little contact with him as possible from now on." Xiao Li frowned and asked, "Why, teacher Guy?" Guy sighed. "I can't tell you the specifics. This involves the higher-ups in the village. In short, having too much contact with Mizuki will not be good for you." Xiao Li was not convinced and said, "Teacher Guy, you once said that youth means moving forward courageously and youth means being fearless. Although I don't know what happened between the top management and Master Mizuki, as long as Master Mizuki is still in Konoha, he is Konoha's ninja and our companion. How can we isolate him? How can we be afraid of power? But what about being timid?" Guy responded with silence. When it comes to high-level people, he can't explain it. He didn't want to see Xiao Li embark on a road of no return and get too close to Mizuki. What if the third generation regarded him as Mizuki's accomplice? The third generation looks kind, but Guy knows that the third generation is not as kind as it seems. But I don't know how to persuade. He could only sigh, thinking that he would have to train with Xiao Li during non-mission hours in the future, leaving him no chance to interact with Mizuki. Mizuki walked towards the market. The sound of the system was also ringing in his ears. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Host is awarded to disciple lock. A bottle of Li's refreshing toilet water will trigger thousands of returns. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you have received a bottle of Liushan toilet water. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Liushan toilet water, applied under the nose, can repel all mosquitoes within a range of 300 meters. It can increase mental power 6 times and lasts for 10 seconds. Close black lens bracket. Note. You can only use it once every 24 hours, otherwise the brain will be overloaded and have no time to rest, and it will become dementia. Close black lens bracket. Mizuki's face was filled with surprise. It increases mental power by 6 times, although it is temporary and only lasts for 10 seconds. But as long as it's used well, what does Tsukuyomi mean? I'm not even afraid of infinite Tsukuyomi. It just takes too long to cool down. You can only use it once a day. Hey, it would be great if it could be permanently improved. Back in the village, it was already dark. Mizuki went to Ichiraku Ramen restaurant and ordered a bowl of tonkatsu ramen. While waiting for the ramen to be made, I studied the Narukumi technique. Time cannot be wasted. Soon, the tonkatsu ramen was prepared by hand, and Iris took out the ramen. Mizuki-sensei, this is your tonkatsu ramen, please enjoy it slowly. Mizuki smiled. Thank you. By the way, get me the vinegar on the counter. I like to add vinegar to my noodles. Calamus. Okay, wait a minute. There were a lot of condiments on the counter, and a chorus picked up a bottle. Mizuki took it, opened the lid and poured it into the bowl. Just then, Shoda shouted. Wait a minute. I picked it up by mistake. It's not vinegar, it's soy sauce. He scolded again. Calamus, what's wrong with you today? You're so distracted. This is the first time you got the wrong seasoning? A chorus apologized hurriedly. Mizuki-sensei, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Mizuki smiled and said, it doesn't matter, I just need some soy sauce too. While a chorus turned around to get the vinegar, Mizuki's eyes flashed. The next moment, there was a squeak above the head, and a mouse fell from the ceiling, fell right into Mizuki's bowl, and then struggled out and ran around, making a mess all over the table. Why? Mizuki stood up, speechless. Tazada apologized with a face full of apology. Mizuki-sensei, I'm very sorry. I didn't expect this to happen. Mizuki sighed. It's a pity that a good bowl of ramen was wasted like this. Hand. This is all the shop's mistake. I am willing to compensate 10 times and give away 10 free ramen coupons. I just hope that Mr. Mizuki will not blame it and not spread this matter to anyone. The hand movements were extremely fast, and the compensation money and ramen coupons were handed directly to Mizuki's hands. I'll make another bowl of ramen and ask Mizuki-sensei to wait a moment. Calamus, what are you doing standing still? Clean it up quickly. Mizuki waved his hand and said, no need. This mouse was moving in the bowl just now. It disgusted me. I won't eat ramen today. After saying that, he turned around and left. After Mizuki left, the apologetic smile on his face could no longer be maintained, and his face became sad and sad. Full of anger, he vented it on Calamus's head. Calamus, what's going on with you today? You always get the wrong seasonings, and you don't even clean up properly. Rats have come in. Today's losses are so great, all of them are on your shoulders. In the Hokage office, third generation rested his chin on his hands and looked at the crystal ball on the table. He saw everything that happened in the Uchiha Sasuke Ramen restaurant. It was actually destroyed by a mouse. Luck? Or is he aware of it? Chapter 43. Third generation and Danzo, each has his own plans. Walking on the street, Mizuki looked normal, but in his heart, he was already filled with anger. He even resorted to such despicable methods. It wouldn't be a big deal that a chorus made the mistake of vinegar and soy sauce. Just shouting a few words with his hands, other customers in the store didn't care at all. As long as we are human, we will make mistakes sometimes. Others couldn't detect anything unusual, so who would have thought that someone would be murdered in their own village? But Mizuki is different. He is a time traveler himself, and the third generation has always wanted to kill him, which makes him very wary. He will not ignore any disturbance, nor dare to ignore it. Because if there is a slight mistake, you may die. Sensing something was wrong, Mizuki did not make a big show of it, but quietly started tai chi. A mouse happened to pass by on the beam above his head, and was knocked down by the force of the fist, and fell into the bowl. Immediately afterwards, Mizuki used echolocation to watch the mouse. The rat escaped outside the house and ran into the sewer. It began to stagger when walking, and then its mouth and nose began to bleed, and it died. It took less than 10 seconds before and after. You can imagine how poisonous the poison was in that noodles. How vicious. Mizuki was filled with fear just thinking about it. It's almost the end. Brother Mouse, you can go in peace. I will avenge you personally. A cold murderous intent flashed in Mizuki's eyes. He has made up his mind that he must kill the third generation himself. In the days that followed, Mizuki became more cautious, eating and drinking carefully, and kept echolocation on. I didn't even dare to sleep deeply, for fear of lying on the bed one night and lying on the couch the next morning. It's torture, but there's nothing you can do about it. You'll get caught if you're not careful. He has encountered poisoning in food and soup several times. Those guys disguised themselves in various ways, sneaked into the kitchen, and poisoned people while the food was being served. If Mizuki's echolocation hadn't been turned on, he wouldn't have been poisoned so many times. Seeing that eating out was too risky, he decided to cook it at home. As a result, the condiments were also poisonous, and the tap water flowing out of the faucet was also extremely poisonous. In the Hokage office, third generation looked very gloomy. He had confirmed that Mizuki really noticed. In the past few days, Danzo's people have poisoned them 5 times, but they all failed due to various coincidences. The mouse fell into the noodle bowl, the waiter who served the food suddenly slipped, the poisonous balls fell to the ground, the kitchen caught fire and all the condiments were burned, and the tap was broken. It doesn't matter if it happens once or twice, but it is like this every time. It is obvious that it is not a coincidence. Danzo is a waste, and the people he sent are also waste. I can't even play the role of Iris well, and I can get vinegar and soy sauce wrong. Mizuki immediately saw the flaws. Third generation also admires Mizuki's vigilance, being able to notice even the smallest things. Why, sighing, third generation summoned an Anbu. Go get Danzo. I'll meet him on the roof. After giving instructions, third generation went up to the roof, clasped his hands behind his back, and looked up at the Hokage statues on the Hokage rock. Soon, Danzo arrived. There were only 2 of them on the roof. Danzo, please stop for now. The Chunin exam is about to begin. We have received news that ninjas from various villages who have come to take the exam are arriving one after another. Orochimaru's plan to collapse Konoha must be carefully prepared. Therefore, I will directly dispatch the manpower at the route for the time being. Mizuki, please leave it alone for now. When Danzo heard this, he said, what kind of business is this? You can directly dispatch the root cause. This is to take away the last bit of power in my hand. Hiruzen, I want to lead the routes to the border to monitor Sanagakure's movements. Advertisement, just stay in Konoha and leave Sand Shinobi to me. Third generation narrowed his eyes and said, Danzo, I'm not negotiating with you. On the night of Nine Tails 12 years ago, you contracted the power of your roots and did not participate in the attack on Nine Tails. I don't blame you. This time, I won't let you do whatever you want. Danzo was angry, but there was nothing he could do. Who calls himself not a Hokage? What about Mizuki? How do you kill him? What if Mizuki survives Orochimaru's attack and turns against us? Third generation. It wasn't because of the root mistake that Mizuki became more vigilant. Originally, he died that night at Uchiha Sasuke Ramen restaurant. Danzo snorted coldly and stopped talking. He knew he was in the wrong, and he was also cursing the root ninja who transformed into a calamus. Mizuki, I'll take care of it myself, so just leave it alone. During this period, until the Chunin exam is over, you should stay at home and do not go out at will. Third generation turned around, eyes cold. Danzo, I know there is still a connection between you and Orochimaru, but this time it is about the survival of Konoha, and I hope you will not make a mistake. Danzo said. Hiruzen, what do you mean by this? Didn't I do so much for Konoha? Third generation sneered and turned to leave. When they reached the stairs, third generation paused. Danzo, when you go back, notify all root members to gather at the Hokage building tomorrow morning and follow my orders. Besides, you're not fit to be a Hokage. After saying that, third generation went downstairs. Danzo looked at the disappearing figure of third generation, his heart filled with anger. Am I not cut out to be a Hokage? Hiruzen, do you still have the nerve to say this? Look at how weak Konoha has become under your incompetent leadership over the years. A person who is timid even in killing a Mizuki is not suitable to be a Hokage at all. I am the most suitable person to be a Hokage. Only I can lead the village back to its peak. Only I am the hope of the Fire Nation. Danzo's ambitions have expanded even more under the stimulation of the third generation. After leaving the Hokage building and walking back to the base, Danzo was filled with dissatisfaction. By the time he returned to base, a decision had been made. Mizuki has no heartfelt feelings for Konoha. The key is that he is not weak and has already surpassed half of the Jonin. Keeping such a person would be too harmful to Konoha. The Chunin exam is coming soon, and he has to deal with Orochimaru's plan to collapse Konoha. I'm afraid Hiruzen has given up on killing Mizuki. At most, he can send Mizuki out of the village on a long-term mission before the Chunin exam. But it's not safe. There was a glint in Danzo's eyes. Since we can't kill him, there is only one way to control him. After the Chunin exam is over and Hiruzen is killed by Orochimaru, I can control Mizuki to continue destroying Konoha, and then I will kill him myself. In this way, my reputation in the village will reach its peak, and my accession to the 5th Hokage will be confirmed. He raised his hand to cover his bandaged right eye with a smile on his face. This eye is finally going to be put to great use. He waved his hand to summon a root ninja and ordered, "Go, ask Mizuki to come here to meet me." Yes. Gen Nin immediately left. At the same time, the Hokage office building, 3rd generation walked into the mission hall and ordered, "Bring me the latest mission authorization letter." Iruka immediately brought the power of attorney, and 3rd generation flipped through it, locking in a task. Protect the caravan heading to the country of Tea, mission level C. Iruka, leave this task to Mizuki, inform him to pick it up and set off early tomorrow morning. Advertisement, yes, Lord 3rd generation. Iruka responded. Looking at the back of 3rd generation leaving, Iruka was filled with worry. He guessed that this was 3rd generation's plan against Mizuki again. Unfortunately, he is just an ordinary Chunin and has no right to speak. He can only watch the life and death of his friends. 3rd generation returned to the office, wrote a note, rolled it up, put it in a thin bamboo tube, and stuffed the bamboo tube tightly with a stopper. Holding the bamboo tube, he walked to the windowsill. On the windowsill, a crow looked sideways at 3rd generation. 3rd generation tied the bamboo tube to the crow's leg and said, "Go." The crow croaked twice, fluttered its wings, and flew away into the distance. At this time, Mizuki is practicing magic at the 8th training ground. Naraku meets technique. The training object is a little squirrel in the tree. The poor squirrel was pulling at a pine cone, trying to get out the pine nuts. Suddenly, there was a trance in front of my eyes. The pine cone turned into a snake and instantly entangled the squirrel, getting tighter and tighter. The squirrel struggled wildly and opened its mouth to scream, but to no avail. It only felt that its body was getting tighter and tighter, its breathing was getting more and more difficult, and it was almost suffocating. Suddenly, the scene changed, the snake was gone, and the pine cone was still a pine cone. But the little squirrel's eyes were dull, he was unsteady on his feet, and fell to the ground with a plop. It was frightened and fainted by Mizuki's genjutsu. "Me's hair, little squirrel, I'm sorry," Mizuki said. He felt very guilty and sorry for this little squirrel. "It's innocent, as compensation, I decided to give you lots of delicious food." Mizuki rushed to the tree, picked a lot of pine cones, and piled them around the little squirrel. When he thought of the little squirrel waking up and seeing so many pine cones around him, he was so happy that he couldn't help himself. The guilt in Mizuki's heart immediately disappeared a lot. Still not proficient enough, then find another practice target. He looked around and quickly zeroed in on another squirrel not far away. As his eyes locked, the little squirrel also looked towards Mizuki, his eyes full of resistance and fear. "Don't come over here, hey, don't worry, I will be very gentle." Just as he was about to take action, suddenly, a masked ninja appeared and jumped in front of Mizuki in a few steps. "Gen Nin." Mizuki frowned, not knowing what this rude nin wanted to do when he stood in front of him. "Mizuki, Lord Danzo, please come with me." Mizuki curled his lips and said, "No time." Gen Nin was stunned and said, "Master Danzo comes to you, how dare you refuse?" Mizuki dug his ears with his fingers and mocked. "I'm not a ninja, why should I listen to Danzo?" "Okay, I'm annoyed when I see your roots. Get out of here and don't disturb my practice." The root ninja was angry, but he didn't dare to take action. "Don't you have to ask Mr. Danzo to come to you in person?" Genin began to threaten. Mizuki said coldly, "I told you to get out, you don't understand human language, right?" The next moment, his eyes were fixed on this root ninja, and Naraku saw technique activated. For a moment, the Genin fell into fear, his eyes widened and his body stiffened. But in just 1 second, the Genin got rid of the control of the illusion. "Mizuki, you dare to use genjutsu to attack the ninjas in the village. Do you know what this is?" Mizuki chuckled. "I'm just sparring with you, and I didn't hurt you. What's your name?" "Of course, if you continue to stay here and complain, then I don't mind letting you experience the surprise of being killed by me." Chapter 44. Danzo is confused. "Mizuki refused to come to see me and attacked you with genjutsu?" Danzo asked calmly, without much reaction. "In that case, I will go see him in person." His right eye was already hungry and thirsty. In Danzo's view, the distinguished heavenly gods are a force that can cause war, and he regards them as treasures and will not use them easily. Shisui originally planned to use the distinguished heavenly gods to modify the will of the Uchiha clan's top leaders so that the Uchiha clan would give up the coup. At that time Danzo said, "You actually want to use such precious power to prevent a mere coup?" A mere coup, in Danzo's eyes, is not worth mentioning, and there is no need to use distinguished heavenly gods at all. But now that distinguished heavenly gods can help themselves become 5th Hokage, that's a different story. Take control of Mizuki and kill the 3rd generation during the Chunin exam. Or wait until the 3rd generation is killed by Orochimaru, and then let Mizuki wreak havoc on Konoha. All in all, let Mizuki become a very evil person who is extremely hated by the villagers. Then he appeared on the scene, killed Mizuki, and saved the village from danger. By then, with great credit and prestige, 5th Hokage will definitely belong to itself. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Danzo's usually serious face. Hiruzen, don't blame me, only under my leadership can the village grow. He left the root base with several of his men and headed to the 8th training ground. But before he could reach the entrance of the 8th training ground, he was blocked by the 3rd Hokage. Danzo, I told you not to do anything on your own. 3rd generation only thought that Danzo and his men wanted to attack Mizuki, so they immediately came to stop him after discovering it. He felt that Danzo's strength was not enough to kill Mizuki. Even if they are killed, there will be all kinds of rumors in the village, which is not conducive to management. On the occasion of the Chunin examination and the imminent plan for the collapse of Konoha, the village needs to be stable and not cause any trouble. The most important thing is that 3rd generation already has a safer plan, so what needs to be done now is to stabilize Mizuki, otherwise the plan will fail before it even starts. Hiruzen, I am not meeting Mizuki to use force. There is no need for you to stop me, Danzo explained. Of course, 3rd generation didn't believe it and asked, why did you see him? Of course Danzo would not tell the truth, but lied. I want to apologize to him for what happened at the meeting that day and see if I can make things right. I am sincere. Maybe I can make him give up his hatred of Konoha. If I give him a big gift, he will definitely come back to his heart. He is not weak. If he can be saved, it will be a great thing for the village. 3rd generation sneered inwardly. Save? If this were said by someone else, it might be true. But I don't believe a word that comes out of your mouth, Danzo. Okay, even if you apologize and redeem yourself, it's up to me, the Hokage, to do it. It's not appropriate for you to go. Turn around immediately. Do not communicate with Mizuki without my permission. Danzo looked gloomy and wished he could use distinguished heavenly gods on 3rd generation. But he can't do that, don't you dare? Of course not. Danzo can even assassinate the 3rd generation, there's nothing he dares not do. So, it's not that I don't dare, it's that I can't do it. Distinguished heavenly gods is very powerful and is known as the most powerful illusion. You can directly invade the opponent's brain and modify the opponent's will without being discovered by the opponent. Itachi's transplanted Shisui Sharingan into Crow Eyes, with just one glance, covered the impure world reincarnation with distinguished heavenly gods, freeing Itachi from Yakushi Kabuto's control. Only in the hands of Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi, distinguished heavenly gods can be called the strongest illusion, but in the hands of Danzo, it is extremely weak. Advertisement: Danzo doesn't have Uchiha blood, and even after transplanting Shisui's eyes, he still can't control his arms. A sword held in a baby's hand has no power to kill the enemy. The pearl fell into the pig pen and flowed with the excrement and urine. This is why, for so many years, Danzo has not used distinguished heavenly gods on 3rd generation in an attempt to usurp the Hokage position. Itachi uses distinguished heavenly gods, and a single stare will do the trick. Switching to Danzo is not that simple. First you have to remove the bandage, and then you have to keep looking at 3rd generation with your right eye for a few seconds before it takes effect. Unless the 3rd generation was a fool, they would have noticed Danzo's intentions immediately. After all, Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan, 3rd generation met. The crime of trying to control the Hokage with illusions was enough to kill Danzo several times. So the question is it okay to secretly use it on 3rd generation without taking off the bandage? No way. Through gauze, the effect of distinguished heavenly gods is greatly reduced. In the anime, during the 5-Cage Alliance, Danzo used distinguished heavenly gods on Mifune, the leader of the Iron Kingdom, through gauze, in an attempt to control Mifune to support him as the leader of the alliance. As a result, he was discovered and exposed by Ching's white eyes, and Danzo was forced to stop. As soon as Danzo stopped, Mifune immediately returned to normal. This shows that the distinguished heavenly gods at that time only temporarily modified Mifune's will and could not take effect permanently. So, taken together, Danzo will definitely fail if he wants to use distinguished heavenly gods to control the 3rd generation. Hiruzen, everything I do is for Konoha. You stopped me today, I hope you won't regret it in the future. Danzo knows that now that the 3rd generation is here, it is useless for him to persist, but will expose the distinguished heavenly gods. Therefore, he could only turn around and leave. Of course, I'm just leaving temporarily. It was impossible to give up. How could he miss such a good opportunity? Watching Danzo leave, 3rd generation breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, I noticed it in time and came to stop it, otherwise my plan would have been ruined. But he didn't know that after Danzo left, he quickly used the transformation technique to change his body and appearance, and made one of his subordinates look like him to confuse the audience. At the 8th training ground, Mizuki's Naraku becomes more and more skilled at technique. The effect of the illusion is getting stronger and stronger. If only that Genin hadn't left, he would have been my sparring partner. With my current level of illusion, I will never let him break free for 1 second. I can control him for 3 seconds at least. At this moment, the first little squirrel that was unconscious due to the illusion finally woke up. Then, seeing the pine cones piled up around it, it screamed and fainted again. Hey, my technique hasn't been used yet, why did it faint? Mizuki was confused. Could it be that my illusion skills have already reached the point where I can make whoever I want to faint? Forget it, let's find another little animal. At this moment, footsteps sounded behind him. Mizuki turned around and saw that it was a strange ninja. He didn't pay much attention to it at first, but the look in his eyes made him feel disgusted. This look seemed familiar to Mizuki. Seems like I've seen it somewhere. Suddenly, the opponent's right eye changed, the pupil turned blood red, and inside the pupil, a large black four-cornered windmill appeared. Mizuki couldn't help but exclaimed, "This is Uchiha Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan." No, distinguished heavenly gods. Combined with the familiar look in his eyes, Mizuki was already sure that the person in front of him was Danzo. Danzo was also shocked when he heard this advertisement. How did Mizuki know Shisui's Sharingan? How did you know about distinguished heavenly gods? But after being shocked, the release of distinguished heavenly gods did not stop. Invisible spiritual power surged towards Mizuki, trying to change Mizuki's mind. Mizuki also moved quickly. The storage ring on his finger flashed, and the bottle of Liushin toilet water returned by the system appeared. Open the cap and apply under the nose, and it's done in one go. His nostrils expanded and he took a deep breath. In an instant, he felt that his whole brain was ventilated. His mind became extremely clear-headed and his brain turned super fast. Naraku saw that there were many things he didn't understand about technique, and he could easily understand them at this moment. Mental strength increased 6 times, this is no joke. Mizuki's mental power was originally twice as strong as others, but now it has increased 6 times. In total, it is equivalent to 14 times that of others. An invisible whirlwind blew around him, a spiritual storm. Mizuki closed his eyes, and miraculously, he could see the objects around him. Not seeing with the physical eyes, but seeing with the spiritual eyes. Although the range is small, it is indeed seen, and it is clearer and more subtle than what can be seen with the naked eye. Even dust and bacteria that are invisible to the naked eye can be clearly seen through his spiritual eyes. At this time, Mizuki clearly saw a black force coming towards him. This is the power of distinguished heavenly gods, right? This black power was blocked by the whirlwind composed of mental power and could not advance even an inch. Distinguished heavenly gods. Danzo is willing to use distinguished heavenly gods on me. Fortunately, I have Liushin toilet water, otherwise today would be over. Being controlled by the distinguished heavenly gods and becoming Danzo's puppet would be worse than death. He opened his eyes and looked at Danzo. The effect of Liushin dew only lasts for 10 seconds. During these 10 seconds, he must either escape from here or fight back to make Danzo stop using distinguished heavenly gods. It was impossible to escape, a Danzo, not enough to let Mizuki escape. So, fight back. If you want to control me with distinguished heavenly gods, you are seeking death. Mizuki shouted loudly, apparated behind Danzo, and the kunai pierced directly into Danzo's back. Killed with one move, but Mizuki didn't relax. Sure enough, the next moment, Danzo's body disappeared into thin air. Not far from Mizuki, an intact Danzo appeared. His right eye is still staring at Mizuki, and the power of distinguished heavenly gods continues. Izanagi, one of the ultimate eye skills of the Uchiha clan, can turn things that are not good for you within a period of time into nothing, and only choose things that are good for you to turn into reality. I don't believe I can't kill you. Apparating behind Danzo again, the kunai stabbed Danzo through the heart again. It's Izanagi again. Danzo is still intact. The duration of Liushin toilet water has elapsed for 3 seconds. At this point, Danzo could no longer hold on. His right eye shed tears of blood, and his expression became painful. Trash, you can't hold on for only 3 seconds, Mizuki sneered inwardly. The third time he apparated behind Danzo, another kunai killed him, and Danzo consumed the third Sharingan. When Danzo reappeared, he had closed his right eye, blood and tears streaming down from the corner of his eye. He looked at Mizuki with his left eye, confused, already doubting life. Why? Why didn't it succeed? Mizuki didn't care what his expression was. He used his disguise again, came behind Danzo, and pierced Danzo's heart. Danzo dies again. When he appears again, use Earth Style immediately. Rock Shinobi technique, escaped underground and fled into the distance. Mizuki didn't chase him, and even if he wanted to, he couldn't. Fortunately, I have Liushin toilet water. It was originally to guard against Uchiha Itachi's Tsukuyomi, but who knows? Tsukuyomi didn't encounter him first, but instead encountered the more awesome distinguished heavenly gods first. It's a pity that Danzo is not easy to kill, otherwise he would have to be killed today. Chapter 45. Xiao Li's third time in the 8th training ground. There are many people practicing. The battle here has been discovered, and no one thinks it is a friendly sparring match. Because Danzo's scream after being pierced through the heart by a kunai cannot be faked. The 5th team led by Guy was also in the training ground. Neji used his Byakugan immediately and observed most of the battle. Many people gathered here. After 10 seconds passed, Mizuki felt his mind go empty, and a strong feeling of discomfort surged from the inside out. It was like suddenly rising from the ground to an altitude of 10,000 meters, suffocating due to lack of oxygen. Uncomfortable, it's unbearable to describe in words. At this time, several teams of ninjas had gathered. The third Hokage, who was originally outside the 8th training ground, also arrived with several Anbu. Mizuki, what's happening here? Third generation asked. Mizuki shook his head, suppressing the discomfort, and recounted what happened without mentioning Danzo's name. From beginning to end, Danzo appears as another person. Although Mizuki knew it was him, he had no proof. Are you sure it's the Mangekyo Sharingan, shaped like a large four-cornered windmill? Also, that person was stabbed to death 4 times by you, but he was still able to come back to life? After listening to Mizuki's story, third generation's expression changed slightly and he asked questions one after another. Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo pupil technique, distinguished heavenly gods, and the Uchiha clan's ultimate pupil technique, Izanagi, made him wary. He even suspected that Mizuki had been controlled by the distinguished heavenly gods. Mizuki nodded and said, I'm 100% sure. Third generation asked, do you have evidence? Mizuki frowned, he couldn't answer this question. No one else was present just now, so where can I get the evidence? At this moment, Neji stood up and said, Third Hokage-sama, I can prove it. My Byakugan saw the battle process, and it is no different from what Mizuki-sensei said. Besides Neji, one other person stood up. Hyuga Hinata from Class 8. Fire. Hokage-sama, I saw it too, third generation nodded. Since you have all seen it, it means that it is indeed true. In fact, at this time, third generation wanted to reveal the functions of distinguished heavenly gods, and then tell everyone that Mizuki was controlled and needed to restrict his freedom. If Mizuki agrees to be restricted from freedom, then third generation has 1,000 ways to kill him. If Mizuki doesn't agree, it means he is disobeying the Hokage's order. Third generation can justly accuse Mizuki and then kill him. But after much thought, third generation finally gave up on the idea. The Chunin exam is coming soon. Konoha needs stability, and if it doesn't take action in the village, then we won't take action. Moreover, the plan to kill Mizuki has already been made, and a series of arrangements have been made, and it is not a good thing to change it midway. Attention Anbu, according to the description of the appearance, the whole village is searching for the suspicious person. Once discovered, monitor and report immediately. In fact, third generation had already suspected Danzo at this time. After all, Izanagi's performance requires Sharingan, 4 Sharingans, which are not available to ordinary people. The genocide of Uchiha was driven by Danzo. A large amount of Sharingan fell into Danzo's hands. There's also Shisui's death. Third generation didn't know why Shisui died before, but now, he figured it out. Mizuki, come to my office. Advertisement, everyone else, please disperse. In Hokage's office, third generation handed over a task authorization letter. There is someone in the village who wants to do harm to you. You should go and carry out this task. Just go out and avoid the limelight. Mizuki took the mission and took a look, protecting the caravan heading to the country of tea. The mission level was C. Go back and get ready. Let's set off tomorrow morning. After leaving the Hokage building, Mizuki wondered what kind of tricks the third generation was up to. The mission is ordinary, nothing special. But Mizuki felt that there was definitely a conspiracy. Otherwise, for a simple C-level task, third generation would not have needed to call him to the office alone and give instructions personally. Third generation has no good intentions, and there is a high probability that there will be an ambush on the road. Mizuki is still very cautious. Although his current strength is enough to deal with various threats, it does not mean that he is invincible. Xiao Li still has a chance to return it, and he has to give it away before setting off tomorrow. The Tai Chi and toilet water presented earlier are the result of careful consideration. The third gift cannot be given casually, so, what should I give? Give me another 18 dragon subduing palms or something? Mizuki shook his head, rejecting this idea. To grant certain items and knowledge to a disciple, he must have it himself or know how to do it. He knows Tai Chi, so he can grant it. Although it is only the old man's version of physical fitness, at least it has something. As for the 18 dragon subduing palms, he doesn't know it at all. You can't just give me a name. Walking on the street, Mizuki kept thinking about it, but couldn't think of anything to give. The key is that he subconsciously believes that he is not weak now and has nothing missing, so he has lost his direction. Before, he knew that he was afraid of Tsukuyomi, so he gave her toilet water to improve her mental strength. He knew that he was not good at physical skills, so he gave her Tai Chi. Now that he felt he had no shortcomings, he suddenly became confused. As he walked, he came to the door of a shop, where a goldfish fishing activity was being held and many children gathered. The children gathered around the pool, holding nets in their hands, fishing for goldfish in the water. The rules of the activity are very simple. For every 3 taels spent, you can catch fish for 5 minutes, and all the goldfish you catch will be yours. Most of the children use a net to catch fish. There are also a few children who hold a net bag in each hand and pay double. These children use both hands, but the results are not good. They often look left and right, and the goldfish they catch are not as many as those children who hold a net bag. The money given was more, but the fish caught were less. The children were so anxious that they screamed. They couldn't figure out why this was happening. The adults watching on the side know that doing things depends on concentration, trying to grasp it with both hands, but often the result is that both hands are empty. Mizuki was not in the habit of watching the excitement, so he glanced at it and walked away. But before he took 2 steps, an idea suddenly flashed in his mind. Yes, you can give this as a gift. Mizuki was very happy when he thought of what he was going to award, and couldn't wait to go to the 8th training ground to find Xiao Li. Team 5 used to train at the 8th training ground, and they probably haven't left yet. Xiao Li has a simple mind and doesn't have so many tricks. Maybe he can really learn it. When we arrived at the 8th training ground, we quickly found a few people from the 5th class. Guy Jonin, excuse me, I'll look for Xiao Li, it only takes a few minutes. Advertisement guy didn't stop. Although he was worried that the relationship between Xiao Li and Mizuki would displease the senior management, there was no big problem with the simple contact. Just don't have personal contact too often. Master Mizuki, what do you want from me? How's your understanding of Tai Chi? Mizuki led Xiao Li not far away and asked. Xiao Li shook his head. I still haven't realized it at all. Mizuki sighed inwardly. Tai Chi was a bit more profound after all, and with a simple mind like Xiao Li's, it was difficult to get started. It seems that Tai Chi is not suitable for you. In that case, give up. Now, I want to teach you another ability. Xiao Li was a little discouraged and said, let's forget it. My thinking ability is not strong. I am only suitable for learning simple things. Things that are too complicated are not suitable for me. He just thought that Mizuki was going to teach him something complicated and difficult to understand again. Mizuki smiled and said, don't worry, what you get this time may not be difficult for you. He picked up 2 branches from the ground and handed them to Xiao Li. Take a branch in each hand and use it as a pen to draw on the ground. Draw a circle with your left hand and a square with your right hand. Start and end at the same time. Try it and see if it works. Xiao Li didn't know why, but he still did as he was told, squatting on the ground and moving his hands at the same time. Mizuki watched nervously, and then he saw that Xiao Li had really drawn it. Although the circles and squares drawn were not very standard, it was indeed a success. Great, it really works. Mizuki was overjoyed. Xiao Li still doesn't understand Mizuki's intentions, and doesn't know why Mizuki is so happy. Mizuki did not explain immediately, but said, continue, this time change the way, write the word left with the left hand, and the word right with the right hand. Xiao Li did it again, but this time it was more difficult. He tried several times before he succeeded. Moreover, the 2 characters written out, the character right is relatively standard, and the character left is crooked, which is related to the habit of writing with the right hand. Genius, Xiao Li, you are definitely a genius. Xiao Li curiously asked, Master, what does this have to do with being a genius? Mizuki looked at Xiao Li and said 4 words. Do 2 things at once. Xiao Li still doesn't understand. Well, Mizuki can only explain it a little more specifically. Most people are unable to do 2 different things with their left and right hands at the same time. In other words, they can only focus on one thing. But you are special. Your hands can do different things at the same time. This is double tasking. Think about it, when fighting, if your left hand and right hand, or hands and feet, use different physical techniques at the same time, is it equivalent to you becoming 2 people? After Mizuki explained this, Xiao Li finally figured it out. I am alone, can I be used as 2 people? Mizuki nodded. For example, when you use Leaf Hurricane with your feet, your free hand can fire shurikens at the same time. When the enemy faces you alone, it is equivalent to facing 2 people. It will be difficult to parry. In short, you can perform 2 different attacks at the same time. Of course, you need to practice one mind and 2. Once you become proficient, you can definitely achieve the terrifying effect of 1 + 1 being greater than 2. Mizuki wasn't kidding. Being able to do 2 things at once will greatly increase combat effectiveness. In Jin Yang's novels, there are 3 people who can multitask, Zhou Bodong, Guo Jing, and Xiao Long NV. Speaking of Little Dragon Girl alone, after learning to fight left and right in the cave, her fighting ability soared. As soon as she came out of the cave, she would hang up Jinlin Dharma King and drive him away. Later in the Chongyang Palace, he first went one-on-one with King Jinlin, injuring Jinlin, and then started a 1v9 frantic battle mode. Dual purpose, and absolutely practical combat talent. Chapter 46. Target, Hokage office. Xiao Li's eyes became brighter and brighter. Likewise, an unabashed smile appeared on Mizuki's lips. The system prompt has already sounded. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket, host is awarded to Disciple Lock. Li Yixin used training methods to trigger 8,888 times the return. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you have obtained the talent of multitasking. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, Mizuki noticed that something had changed in him. But he couldn't tell the specifics. This feeling was very strange. He squatted down and also used 2 branches to draw a circle with his left hand and a square with his right hand. This kind of thing that was impossible before can now be done easily. I always felt that at that moment, I had a mental breakdown. Joking, Mizuki was very excited. This kind of multitasking way of thinking made him feel amazing. Can I use 2 ninjutsu at the same time? Ninjas cannot use 2 ninjutsu at the same time. Every time you cast a ninjutsu, you need to control the chakra in the body to run according to a specific trajectory. The seal is to assist the ninja in controlling the trajectory of the chakra. People like Mizuki who have strong chakra control ability can directly control the operation of chakra with their thoughts without forming seals. But even so, he can only release one jutsu at a time. Because it is impossible to do two things while being distracted. The next ninjutsu can only be cast after the previous ninjutsu has been successfully performed. Now that I have the talent of dual tasking, can I control chakra, run two trajectories at the same time, and perform two ninjutsu? He wanted to see it immediately, but there were so many people here that it was not convenient to experiment. So, I could only suppress my curiosity and give it up for now. Lee, I've taught you the method. Go back and practice more. As long as you can master multitasking, your strength will definitely improve to a higher level. After Mizuki left, Xiao Li returned to Guy's side. Guy didn't ask any more questions, but Tianshan asked curiously, Lee, what did Mizuki-senpai say when he came to you? I saw you holding a branch and seemed to be drawing on the ground. Xiao Li nodded and said, yes, Master Mizuki asked me to use two branches to draw a circle on the ground with my left hand and a square with my right hand. Tianshan asked, what's the use of this, Xiao Li? Double tasking. Master Mizuki said that most people can only do one thing at the same time, but I can do two things at the same time. When fighting, I am alone, or it can be equivalent to two people. For example, while using Leaf Great Whirlwind, my hand can throw shurikens. The enemy facing me is like facing two enemies. Eyes widened every day. This? Are you kidding? One person can be used as two people. How is this possible? Xiao Li said. I will demonstrate it to you. He squatted down, drew a circle with his left hand, and a square with his right hand, all in one go. Tianshan raised his eyebrows and said, it's not difficult at all. She also squatted down and imitated Xiao Li, but she soon gave up. If she could take care of the left side, she couldn't take care of the right side. At the same time, she could only focus on one hand. Compared with Xiao Li, he is not in the same dimension at all. Xiao Li was on the ground again, using both hands to write different words, all of which were done easily. Tianshan was shocked. Li, how on earth did you do it? Advertisement Xiao Li said. I think it's very simple, it should be innate. Master Mizuki said that only those with simple hearts and simple thoughts can do it. On the contrary, the smarter and more complicated the person, the harder it is to do it. Tianshan is speechless. Smart people can't do it, but stupid people can do it. This makes no sense. Neji, try it too and see if you can do it, Tianshan said. Neji shook his head and said, I've already tried it, just like you. You have to focus on one hand, otherwise you won't be able to draw a circle or square. It's impossible to take care of both hands. Tianshan said to Guy again. Teacher Guy, you should try it too. Guy looked serious, nodded, and tried. As a result, he succeeded. Neji and Tendon looked at each other and thought, as Mizuki said, smart people can't do it, but stupid people can succeed. Guy stared blankly at the circles and squares he drew on the ground. At this moment, he seemed to have opened the door to the new world. Root base. Danzo escaped all the way back and is still in a state of confusion. Why did distinguished heavenly gods not work on him? Distinguished heavenly gods, the most powerful illusion. Unable to control Mizuki. What kind of monster is Mizuki? Danzo was already starting to feel fear. If it weren't for the fact that Mizuki didn't have bandages on his body, he would have thought that Mizuki, like him, also transplanted Sharingan and used Izanagi to offset the negative effects of distinguished heavenly gods. The loss this time is too great. Izanagi was defeated 4 times, 4 Sharingans were consumed, and Danzo was heartbroken to the point of bleeding. Although he had looted a lot of Sharingans on the night when Uchiha was exterminated, losing 4 of them at once was too crazy. If Mizuki is successfully controlled, the loss of 4 Sharingan will be nothing. The key is, it didn't succeed, lost in vain. In addition to losing 4 Sharingans, the distinguished heavenly gods are also temporarily unavailable. Danzo's face was gloomy. Distinguished heavenly gods is a technique with a very long cooldown. If used once, it cannot be used again until 10 years later. Although Danzo has been transplanted with Hashirama cells, which can greatly reduce the cooldown time of distinguished heavenly gods, it will take at least 2 or 3 years before it can be used again. Just when Danzo was sulking, a Genin suddenly came to him. Lord Danzo, the 3rd Hokage is coming with a large number of Anbu. Danzo's expression changed. What does Hiruzen want to do with such a big fanfare? Soon, the 3rd generation arrived. Danzo, hand over Shisui's eyes. This is the property of the village and you have no right to take it as your own. 3rd generation is very straightforward. Danzo was shocked, but his expression remained unchanged. They are all veteran actors, and the city still has this. Hiruzen, are you kidding me? Shisui has been dead for so many years and his body has not been found. You ask me for his eyes? Where do you start talking about this? Of course Danzo refused to admit it. 3rd generation snorted and waved, and an Anbu stepped forward from behind. Under the mask, a pair of white eyes stared at Danzo's right eye. This is a member of the Hyuga family. As an elder of Konoha and a leader at the root, Danzo holds a high position of authority, so the Hyuga family dare not investigate him with their white eyes. Advertisement. Moreover, Danzo is like a mouse, staying in the sewers all day and night, rarely showing up, and there are not many opportunities for Hyuga ninjas to encounter him. This also resulted in Danzo possessing Shisui's eyes for so many years without being discovered by the third generation. Perhaps, third generation had suspicions for a long time, but because of their friendship, they never went into details. But today's matter involves distinguished heavenly gods. Third generation couldn't help it, and directly ordered the Hyuga family to explore the secrets of Danzo. Danzo scolded. Bold, you dare to use your white eyes to probe me, this is the following offense. Third generation said coldly. Danzo, do you want to resist me, the Hokage? Danzo immediately stopped eating. At this moment, he knew that he could no longer hide it, so he said simply, okay, no need to look around, I will tell myself. Yes, my right eye is indeed transplanted with Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan. There is nothing we can do if we don't admit it. The third generation raised its hand to stop the Hyuga ninja's exploration. So Shisui's death was also your fault? No, Danzo denied it and said, it was Uchiha Itachi. In order to activate Mangekyo, he killed Shisui with his own hands and gave Shisui's right eye to me. He really didn't dare to admit this. Once he admitted that he wanted to take over the position of 5th Hokage, there was no hope anymore. No one would support someone who killed fellow village ninjas to become the new Hokage. After all, Shisui is a good person in everyone's mind. Danzo's answer, third generation, is non-committal. Of course he wouldn't believe Danzo's words, but there was no evidence to prove that Danzo was the one who killed Shisui. Give me Shisui's eyes and this is over. Third generation glanced at Danzo's bandaged right hand and did not pursue further. Although they knew that there must be a Sharingan hidden in Danzo's right hand, third generation chose to remain silent. Keeping Danzo is still useful. If everything is exposed and everyone calls for beating, no one will take the blame in the future. In addition, all root ninjas, gather at the Hokage building immediately. Danzo, after you hand over your eyes, go home to recuperate. The third generation left, taking away Shisui's right eye and all the root ninjas. Danzo is full of anger, but has nowhere to vent it. He suffered a big loss at the hands of Mizuki, and now he was beaten by third generation. Even Shisui lost his eyes. This blow is really too big. The next morning, at the gate of Konoha village, Mizuki met the caravan entrusted with the mission. Complete the registration for leaving the village and prepare to leave the village. At this moment, a group of people came from outside the village. These people were wearing Sanagakure forehead protector. Mizuki glanced at them and immediately noticed them. In this line, it is Sanagakure who came to take the Chunin exam. Jonin Baki, Tamari who carries a fan, Kankuro who carries a puppet, and Gaara who carries a gourd. Mizuki's eyes stayed on Gaara longer. Feeling Mizuki's gaze, Gaara turned around and stared at Mizuki with a pair of panda eyes. Do you want to die? Mizuki chuckled, not intending to behave like a naughty child. The caravan left the village and Mizuki accompanied it to protect it. Standing outside the gate, Mizuki looked back at Konoha, especially the iconic Hokage building. After advancing some distance, he suddenly sneered, and the next moment, there was a paper airplane in his hand. Third Hokage, you try every means to kill me, but I always respond passively. This time, let you taste my retribution. The paper plane took off, like a bird flying high into the sky, passing through Konoha's perception barrier and flying quickly towards the Hokage building. Target, Hokage office. Chapter 47. It's a pity that I'm still alive. Detonating bomber. The explosion power is equivalent to 500 detonating symbols, and the flying speed is supersonic. It has been more than a month since I got this thing, and Mizuki has been reluctant to use it. But now, he couldn't help it anymore. What happened yesterday is so scary even thinking about it now. If he hadn't met Uchiha Itachi on the way back from the Land of Waves, he would have developed a fear of Sharingan illusion, if he hadn't successfully accepted Locke as his disciple. Lee, granted the return of Liushin Toilet Water, he was definitely going to win the distinguished heavenly gods yesterday and become Danzo's puppet. That was worse than death. In fact, what he wants most is to take revenge on Danzo and blow up the base. It's a pity that he doesn't know where the root base is, so he can only transfer his hatred to the third Hokage. All in all, it's all third generation's fault. High in the sky, a paper plane flew into Konoha like a meteor. There was a punch ring behind its butt, which immediately attracted the attention of some ninjas on the high wall. But its speed was so fast that it disappeared in a blink of an eye and no one could see clearly what it was. In an instant, the paper plane passed through an invisible barrier. Konoha barrier class. Yamanaka Haichi immediately noticed this change. As one of the 5 major ninja villages, Konoha is not a small mountain village in the countryside. The roads are open to the sky and people come and go without asking. The entire Konoha was enveloped by a large-scale perception barrier. This barrier is in the shape of a bowl, turning the wooden leaves upside down and even going deep into the ground. Once a strange smell breaks in, the barrier team will immediately sense it and immediately identify whether it is an enemy or a friend, and determine whether there is a threat. In the direction of the village gate, an unknown object broke into the barrier from high altitude, but there was no chakra fluctuation. It looks like a flying bird, very fast, not a big threat. Hai didn't pay too much attention and had no intention of reporting it. But only 3 seconds later, the ground suddenly shook, followed by a deafening roar, causing Hai's expression to change drastically. Hai opened his senses to the maximum extent, and then saw that there was thick black smoke coming out of the Hokage building and the Hokage office. The walls were full of cracks, the windows were completely blown out, broken bricks and tiles were scattered downstairs, and there were several mutilated corpses whose identities could not be identified in a short time. It's over, it's completely over, third generation was attacked and killed. Something big happened. After the Hokage was attacked, the village immediately entered a state of first-level alert. The villagers were extremely frightened, thinking that the Nine Tails incident had happened again 12 years ago. They didn't need an organization, they all went to the shelter voluntarily. Although they didn't know what was going on, it was human instinct to take refuge. The gate at the entrance of Konoha village was immediately closed. On the wall, all the ninjas looked nervously outside the village, on full alert. The ninjas who were on vacation at home quickly rushed to the Hokage building. The leading teachers and genin from other villages who came to take the Chunin exam were ordered not to go out, and any offenders would be shot. When a large number of ninjas gathered downstairs at the Hokage, the third Hokage arrived with a gloomy face and was late. What the hell is going on? Who did it? Looking at the bombed Hokage office, third generation broke through. The ninjas all breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that the third generation was not dead. Sir, third generation, news came from the barrier class that an unknown object flew into the village from the sky. In just 3 seconds, your office exploded. Third generation looked horrified. Flying from outside the village to the Hokage building in 3 seconds, how is this possible? The Hokage building is located in the center of the village, and the distance from the outside to here is more than 1,000 meters. What the hell is it that spans 1,000 meters in 3 seconds? Tailed beast bomb is not that fast. This terrifying speed doesn't give people any time to react. Advertisement third generation began to rejoice. It was a blessing that it ran to Danzo's house early in the morning to check if Danzo was staying at home honestly. If he were in the office, he would be killed by a bomb now. Where did the attack come from? Third generation asked. Haichi said, coming from the direction of Konoha's gate. Third generation narrowed his eyes. At this moment, several suspicious targets flashed through his mind. Sanagakure, Orochimaru, or Mizuki. He frowned deeply and felt a sense of horror rising in his heart. If this kind of attack were to happen again, would he be able to dodge it? What are the casualties? The 3 Anbu who were guarding around the office all died. In the corridor, 2 staff members who were passing by were killed and 1 was seriously injured. The floor of the office was blown through. In the mission hall downstairs, 3 clients died, including the daimyo's wife. 2 of the staff who issued the mission died and 2 were seriously injured. The masonry that fell from the window killed 7 passing villagers and injured dozens of others. Those who were seriously injured have been sent to the hospital for rescue. There is no guarantee that the rescue will be successful. In addition, all documents in the office were destroyed. Third generation listened to these numbers and clenched their fists tightly. With an explosion, the number of dead reached 16, and some were seriously injured. It is still unknown whether they can be rescued. Even the daimyo's wife was among the dead, and the third generation's heart was already half cold. Since the night of Nine Tails 12 years ago, Konoha has never suffered a major loss. But today, disaster struck. Go to the direction of the gate immediately and search for all suspicious characters, especially the ninjas from the outer villages. In addition, vigilance must be stepped up to prevent similar incidents from happening again. With the daimyo's wife dead, third generation felt that their role as Hokage had come to an end. But at this time, what he cared more about was finding the person behind the scenes and cutting him into pieces to vent his hatred. The village was tense, but outside the village, it was not greatly affected. A few hundred meters outside Konoha village, the caravan first felt a slight earthquake on the ground, and then heard a huge explosion from behind. Everyone stopped and looked back, but unfortunately, there was a high wall blocking the scene and they couldn't see the scene where the Hokage building was blown into ruins. Mizuki jumped to the top of a big tree and looked over the wall into the distance. I could see thick smoke still rising in the direction of the Hokage building. Snort. Mizuki sneered. I don't know if it killed the third generation. It's best if you blow it up, but it doesn't matter if you don't. Anyway, the Hokage office was destroyed, along with many documents and ninjutsu scrolls inside, which was enough to make the third generation feel distressed for a while. This detonating bomber is really useful. He planned to send out a few more in the future and blow up whoever was unhappy. Mr. Mizuki, has something happened in Konoha? Do you want to go back and take a look? The caravan leader came to ask. Mizuki said. The village was attacked. As a ninja of Konoha, I must go back to protect the village. So, the mission is suspended. Protecting the village and so on are all nonsense. He wants to go back and see if third generation is dead. If he is dead, he will continue to kill Danzo as well. If the third generation is not dead, let's call it a day and wait until the Chunin exam. Advertisement. By the way, let's take a look at third generation's angry appearance. The caravan leader agreed with Mizuki's opinion and turned back to Konoha. As soon as they arrived at the entrance of Konoha village, Mizuki saw a large number of ninjas rushing towards the outside of the village. What the hell? Does third generation know that I was responsible for the explosion? Mizuki was immediately alert. If he was really here to deal with him, he would have to confront him head on today and then defect. But soon, he discovered that these ninjas were not coming for him. Only a few ninjas came to ask, and the rest left the village and searched forward in a fan shape. I was worried for nothing. I almost thought I had to defect today. The one who came to ask Mizuki was teammate led by Kurenai Yuhi. Everyone in the caravan was questioned and then cleared of suspicion. Red Jonin, what happened in the village? Yuhi Hong said. The Hokage building was hit by an explosion, and the Hokage office was blown up. Mizuki asked hurriedly. Hokage-sama, are you okay? Kurenai Yuhi said. Third Hokage happened to not be in the Hokage building when the explosion occurred, so nothing happened. Mizuki pretended to be relieved and said, that's good. Master Hokage is fine. The third generation is not dead, Mizuki feels pity. If you're not dead, then you're not dead. If you're not dead this time, you'll definitely be dead next time. Since the third generation is not dead, the Chunin exam can proceed normally. After accepting 5 qualified apprentices, the upper limit will be reached. Only one disciple must become a Chunin before we can continue to accept apprentices. The 3 from Class 7, plus Shaoli and Nobita, of which Nobita is not yet qualified to participate in the Chunin start. Naruto, Sasuke, Little Sakura, and Little Lee will all take the Chunin exam. If he doesn't intervene, they may not be able to pass the exam and become Chunin. The Chunin exam is held twice a year. If you miss it this time, you will have to wait until the end of the year. Mizuki couldn't accept being unable to accept more apprentices for half a year. We have to find a way to improve their overall quality. At least Sasuke, Sakura-chan, and Lee-chan still have a chance to pass the exam and become Chunin. Naruto's theoretical foundation was so poor that the village would not let him pass. After all, after becoming a Chunin, you have to lead a team on missions. At Naruto's level, leading a team into the pit was about the same. Okay, your suspicions have been eliminated and you can leave. But the situation in the village is tense now. Please try not to walk around on the street to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings. As for Mizuki, you should go to the Hokage building and follow Master Hokage's orders. Just as Kurenai Yuhi finished her announcement, third Hokage suddenly arrived. Mizuki, there is nothing wrong with you in the village. Continue to perform the mission and protect the caravan heading to the land of tea. The third generation came here deliberately to allow Mizuki to leave the village and continue her mission. Kurenai Yuhi was stunned and glanced meaningfully at third generation. Mizuki nodded. Yes, Hokage-sama. So the caravan left the village again. The way third generation does this, there is no silver 300 taels here. There must be an ambush on the road. Otherwise, at this moment, how could he send the village's ninjas to continue their mission out of the village? Mizuki walked, thinking. The third generation knew that I had apparition and that I had the Rasengan, but they still sent me out of the village to ambush me. In other words, the people ambushing on the road ahead are capable of killing me. Who is it? Jiraiya, or Uchiha Itachi. Chapter 48. A brief battle with pain. The caravan moved forward without any hurry or delay. While Mizuki was on alert, he was also thinking about countermeasures. What should I do if I meet Jiraiya? What should I do if I meet Uchiha Itachi? Can I fight it? Should I fight or flee? In the afternoon, it suddenly started to rain lightly. Looking around, it was all white and the visibility was very poor. Mizuki wears a hooded cloak to keep out the rain. But the humid and sticky air and the muddy road underfoot made Mizuki feel a little uncomfortable. He doesn't like to rush on rainy days. The caravan walked on the forest road, except for the sound of wheels, everyone was quiet. Suddenly, the front stopped. Mr. Mizuki, there is a situation ahead. Needless to say, Mizuki has seen it. There is only one person standing in the way. Wearing a black windbreaker with red clouds, short orange hedgehog hair, and wearing a forehead protector for the rebel ninja of Rainman Village. The most noteworthy thing is his eyes, with their distinctive lines. Rinnegan. Mizuki never expected that it was not Jiraiya, not Uchiha Itachi, but Tendo Pain. Tiandao cannot come alone. Pain and 6 paths are all dispatched at the same time. Also, to control Pain, Nagato must be nearby. Mizuki is really convinced. I am not a big shot in the ninja world, does the Akatsuki organization need to be like this? Pain stood in the middle of the road, looking at Mizuki. Konoha Shinobi Mizuki, introduce yourself. I am Pain, the leader of the Akatsuki organization, and I am a god. Mizuki's mouth twitched. This style is high enough. It's much better than Orochimaru asking people if they know about immortality when they meet. I know that your strength is not weak, and you are being targeted by high-level officials in Konoha, so I specially invite you to join the Akatsuki organization today. Let's work together to create a perfect ninja world that is peaceful, without oppression, and without conspiracy. The unfair treatment you received in Konoha will not happen in the world we create in the future. Mizuki's mouth twitched. This pie is so beautifully painted, but it's a pity that he doesn't know that he is just a chess piece in the hands of others. His ideal world will never be realized. Sorry, I refuse. Pain nodded and said calmly. Then I will defeat you and make you willing to join the Akatsuki organization. Mizuki immediately said. Wait a minute. Pain looked at Mizuki and said nothing. I'm happy to accompany you in the fight, but you have to fight over there. These ordinary people shouldn't be affected by the fight between us. Mizuki pointed deep into the jungle. Pain said. No, they saw my Rinnegan, and they all have to die to avoid the leak of the information. Pain's words made Mizuki feel angry. In that case, I'll deal with you first. Disapparating behind Pain, Rasengan has been handed out, but Pain is obviously not so easy to deal with. Shinra Tenzhang. A powerful repulsive force appeared instantly, with Pain as the center, pushing crazily around. FK. Mizuki screamed in pain, his body flew out, and the Rasengan in his hand also dissipated. The caravan was even more overwhelmed by the Shenluo Tianzhang. Fortunately, it was not too close, otherwise there would have been casualties. Mizuki felt particularly calm while walking backwards. The cooldown time of Shinra Tianzhang is 5 seconds, so let's try it again. The next moment, the apparition was activated again, and he appeared behind Pain again, continuing the Rasengan. Snapped. Pain turned around in an instant and grabbed Mizuki's wrist. Mizuki was shocked. The reaction speed of this nerve is really too fast, as if it can predict. Pain grabbed Mizuki's wrist with one hand, and a black stick came out of the palm of his other hand, stabbing Mizuki in the shoulder. This black rod is a product made by Rinnegan and involves yin and yang escape. If the black rod is pierced into the body, the chakra acupuncture points will be blocked and the chakra operation will be disrupted. Even tailed beasts can be restrained by the black rod. Mizuki's expression changed and he shouted, "Transformation technique." With a bang, Pain turned into a little sheep, and his hands turned into sheep's hooves. Advertisement. Mizuki's grabbed wrist lost its restraint and was immediately freed. After only 0.1 seconds, Pain returned to his original shape, but by this time, Mizuki had already jumped several meters away. Pain looked at Mizuki and said, "The ninjutsu that can transform others made me unable to resist even at that moment. You are not only a strong man, but also a genius in ninjutsu." Mizuki looked at Pain with a solemn expression. His own transformation failed unexpectedly again. First it was Uchiha Itachi, and now it's Tendo Pain. This made Mizuki feel that his strength was still a little bit behind. Although he knows a lot of ninjutsu, his methods are also weird. But when facing these strong men, there is no advantage. It's a bit like Obito playing 4th generation. On the surface, it looks like Obito has the advantage, Kamui can attack and defend, and is very invincible, but in the end, he was taught how to behave by 4th generation. I still don't have enough fighting consciousness. Although the transformation technique only lasted 0.1 seconds, I just wanted to retreat. Although 0.1 second is very short, for experts, it is enough to attack once. If I had taken the opportunity to attack just now, I might have killed Pain. The upgraded transformation technique allows others to transform, and it is a forced transformation. After the transformation, the enemy's shape changes and cannot attack. Used well, it can be crushed directly. The disadvantage is that the stronger the person, the shorter the duration of the transformation. When used on Naruto before, Naruto could be forced to transform for 5 seconds, but just now, it only allowed Pain to transform for 0.1 seconds. And when used on stronger people, it consumes a lot of energy. In an instant, Mizuki's chakra lost a full 5 calories. It's a pity that Mizuki didn't seize the opportunity to fight back. If you take advantage of that 0.1 second gap to wave the kunai, you will definitely have good results. The fighting consciousness is still too lacking. Your technique is very powerful, but the duration is too short. In addition, your neurological reactions, combat consciousness, and combat experience are only at the level of others. Even though you have mastered many magical ninjutsu, you still can't do anything to me. Pain said, raising his right hand. Universal pull. Mizuki's body immediately lost control and flew towards Pain. At this time, the black rod had emerged from the palm of Pain's left hand and was aimed at Mizuki's shoulder. Mizuki didn't panic, he used disapparation again and got behind Pain. Pain reacted very quickly and turned around instantly. While the chakra is enough, do it again. Mizuki's left hand slapped Pain's body, Rasengan condensed in his hand, and at the same time, upgraded clone technique was used. When Rasengan was formed, Pain turned into a little sheep. Dual purpose, come in handy for the first time. The next moment, Rasengan hits the little sheep in the head. 0.1 second passed in an instant, and Pain returned to his human form, but his body had been blown away, his head was severely damaged, he fell to the ground, and rolled for more than 10 meters. Then he stopped moving completely. Call. Mizuki gasped for air. Success. A transformation technique, which consumes 5 cards of chakra, was used twice, plus several uses of displacement and Rasengan. At this time, the chakra in Mizuki's body was almost bottomed out. There are only 2 cards left. Looking at Pain's body not far away, Mizuki smiled bitterly. It is too difficult to deal with just one tendo and exhaust most of his chakra. In the woods, a sound broke through the air, and someone was approaching quickly. Through the trees, you can see the iconic red cloud trench coat with a black background. Mizuki turned to look at the caravan not far away and sighed. You guys, wish yourselves good luck. At this moment, he had too much to take care of himself, and there was really nothing he could do about these people in the caravan. The leader of the caravan also saw the helplessness on Mizuki's face. Mr. Mizuki, is there really nothing we can do? Mizuki shook his head and said, you are all implicated by me, but if you want to blame it on 3rd Hokage. The caravan leader didn't know what Mizuki meant, but at this time, he was completely desperate. The next moment, 5 figures fell. It's the other 5 of Pain's 6 paths. After they arrived, they did not attack Mizuki immediately, but stood guard in front of Tendo's body. Hell Path summoning comes out of hell. The King of Hell opened his mouth, stretched out a long purple tongue with hands, put the damaged Tendo Pain into his mouth, and started chewing. Advertisement. Mizuki knew that he had to leave, otherwise he would not be able to leave when Tiandao was resurrected. Before you leave, let's make one last effort. He turned around and said to the leader of the caravan, you run away immediately, I will hold you here for a while, you just see your luck. In the rear, there are Konoha shinobi sent by 3rd generation to search for the people who attacked Hokage's office. If there is a battle here, they will definitely sense it and send people here. If these people in the caravan encountered the ninjas of Konoha, they might have a chance of survival. After Mizuki finished speaking, no need for the caravan leader to say anything, everyone fled backwards. Mizuki stood there without moving, but split into dozens of clones. These clones scattered in all directions and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The pens on the opposite side didn't stop him, they were just clones, as long as the main body was still there. As for the ordinary people in the caravan, they did not pursue them. Most importantly, it's Mizuki. Behind Pain, Yama chewed heavily and then opened his mouth. Tiandao Pain walked out intact. 6 paths of Pain, come on. 6 Pain stood together, 6 pairs of Rinnegan, extremely oppressive. Mizuki said, the legendary immortal eye, Rinnegan, is indeed powerful. However, I still refuse to join the Akatsuki organization. Tiandao Pain, you gave up your own escape for those ordinary people. I admire you very much. But if you insist on refusing, I will have no choice but to kill you. Mizuki was speechless. Didn't you say that the Akatsuki organization was established to create a beautiful and peaceful world? If I don't join, you will kill me. What kind of peace is this? Pain. If you don't join, you are an obstacle to peace, so you must die. Mizuki opened his mouth wide, unable to refute this reason. He said, it seems that it's really hard for me not to join. In that case, please tell me about the situation of the Akatsuki organization first. Where is your base? How many members are there? How strong are the members? How do you want to achieve peace? Tiandao Pain said, I know you are stalling for time and want those people to escape. But I said, they met the Rinnegan. And they knew part of the Rinnegan's abilities. In order to prevent the information from leaking, they must die. So, you've wasted your efforts. I will tell you these questions after you join the Akatsuki organization. So, make your decision. Mizuki frowned. At this time, he heard the screams coming from behind. A group of poor people could not escape the tragic fate of being killed. It's all 3rd Hokage's fault. The screams ended quickly, and then the sound of 2 footsteps came. Mizuki turned his head and saw Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame walking over. Samahata on Kisami's back is still bleeding. Chief, all those people have been dealt with. Kisame smiled cruelly. Uchiha Itachi looked at Mizuki, ready to make a move. Especially the 3 Magatama in the right eye are already slowly rotating. I have the urge to turn on Mangekyo and release Amaterasu. Mizuki looked at Tendo Pain with a smile on his lips. My decision is, refuse. Tiandao looked indifferent and said, in that case, then you can leave your life here. Mizuki shook his head and said, I will not join the Akatsuki organization and I will not die. Even the Rinnegan cannot kill me. Tiandao, you can indeed come and go freely by changing your appearance. However, unless you move to an extremely far place in an instant, you will not be able to escape my pursuit. As soon as he finished speaking, Tiandao Pain's feet left the ground and floated up. He looked down at Mizuki with indifference in his eyes. It's like a high-altitude god who ignores the ants on the ground. I am God, and in God's realm, you can't escape. Mizuki sighed and said, you claim to be a god, but you don't know that you are just a pawn on someone else's chessboard. They talk about peace, but they ignore life and wantonly kill. The Akatsuki organization is not as good as Konoha. That's it. After the words fell, Mizuki stopped talking. He wants to run. Uchiha Itachi's Sharingan noticed the change in Mizuki immediately. The right eye instantly transformed into Mangekyo, and the flames of Amaterasu appeared, aiming at Mizuki. The black flames burned Mizuki directly. But the next moment, there was only a bang sound, and Mizuki turned into a burst of smoke and completely dissipated. The Mizuki in the field is not his true body at all, but a false clone. Tiandao frowned. Is this the original purpose of releasing the clone before? Chapter 49. What is the ideal? Chief, what should we do now? Itachi asked. Uchiha Itachi was worried. After receiving the news from the 3rd Hokage, he and Kisame planned to intercept them halfway. What he said was to capture Mizuki and force him to join the Akatsuki organization. What I was thinking about was that the moment I saw Mizuki, I let Amaterasu go as soon as possible without giving Mizuki any chance. The plan is very good. What Itachi didn't expect was that Konan also obtained information that Mizuki was about to leave the village. Then pain came. The previous failure to capture made Konan believe that the capture would not be successful with Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame alone. So, she breaks the news to Nagato. In her mind, Mizuki's ability to save his life and escape was so slippery that it would be difficult to catch him unless Pain took action himself. As for why Mizuki had to be captured, it's a long story. Ever since Orochimaru defected from the organization, Akatsuki has been lacking a member, and the member codenamed Sora has been vacant. 10 rings, there should be 10 official members. Now that one is missing, it is very unsightly and has an impact on Akatsuki's strength and plans. So it must be completed. It's not that I haven't found someone, but I have searched all over the ninja world and haven't found a suitable person to become the new Sora. The Akatsuki organization doesn't like people like Zabuza at all. Finally, a Mizuki appeared, with unique methods and powerful strength. He was repeatedly targeted by the third generation, and his fiancée was even killed by Konoha. Such people are most suitable to join Shao. Opportunity not to be missed. He doesn't hesitate to use Pain to drag Mizuki into the trap. Pain glanced at Uchiha Itachi. Itachi's action of using Amaterasu to burn Mizuki just now was not ambiguous at all. This posture, instead of pulling people in, is clearly killing people. Now that I'm here, he can't escape. Tiandao Pain said lightly, his body quickly rose into the air, and he looked down at the surroundings. Under Rinnegan's shroud, nothing can escape. When he looked towards the north, his eyes suddenly froze, and even a look of surprise flashed across his face. He saw Mizuki flying in the air like Superman, with his head facing north and his feet facing south, and he was extremely fast. Comparing the flight speed, Pain felt that he was not as good as Mizuki. The Earth Kingdom's secret light and heavy rock technique. Pain was confused, but then he looked at Mizuki's soles. In Rinnegan's field of vision, he clearly saw that the soles of Mizuki's feet were spraying chakra downwards. Gather chakra at the soles of your feet, spray it out, and generate a reverse thrust. This Mizuki is indeed no ordinary ninja. He can even think of this kind of ninjutsu. Inviting him to join the Akatsuki organization is the right decision. It's a pity that he didn't want to. Pain watched helplessly as Mizuki flew away until he disappeared from sight. Chief, what's going on? Where is Mizuki? Uchiha Itachi asked hurriedly as Pain fell to the ground. Pain shook his head and said, he has mastered the flying ninjutsu and is extremely fast. He is flying north to Konoha. We can no longer catch up. This arrest failed. Uchiha Itachi was shocked that Mizuki actually mastered the flying ninjutsu, which he had never expected. He lamented again that Mizuki was hiding too deeply. Advertisement. At this time Kisame said, this Mizuki is really a slippery loach. Even the leader can't catch him. I think it's better to rush into Konoha directly. Anyway, with the leader's strength, Konoha can't stop him. No. Pain immediately rejected it and explained, the current Akatsuki organization cannot be an enemy of the ninja village. However, the plan to capture the tailed beast can be implemented. Nine Tails Jinchuriki is in the land of waves. Itachi, Kisame, you two go and capture him. Failing to catch Mizuki, Pain immediately shifted his target to Naruto. Mizuki flew a certain distance, and when he saw that there were no pursuers behind him, he fell down. I never expected that it would be Pain who came. Fortunately, I have some means. In addition, Uchiha Itachi's murderous aura is too strong. It seems that he will have to publicize it when he returns. You make it difficult for me, and I will make it difficult for you too. Soon, he returned to Konoha. Third generation was informed by Anbu and was furious when he found out Mizuki was back. Didn't Itachi say that the flames of Amaterasu could kill Mizuki? Why did Mizuki come back alive? This time the plan to kill Mizuki failed again, and third generation was really in trouble. Distinguished heavenly gods are ineffective against Mizuki, and Amaterasu didn't kill Mizuki. Could it be that Mizuki is hiding more strength? At this moment, third generation was a little panicked. He didn't take Mizuki seriously before. Even if Mizuki had apparated, even if Mizuki had learned the Rasengan, third generation still felt it was nothing. He always felt that if Mizuki was really strong, it would be impossible for him not to resist after being murdered several times by him. Definitely not strong enough to resist. Now, this idea of third generation has changed. I became afraid of Mizuki. Since he has the strength, why doesn't he resist? Is he mentally ill and likes to stay in Konoha and scheming with me? With such strength, he can be like Orochimaru and Itachi. Even if he defects, there is nothing Konoha can do against him. But he refused to defect. What was the reason for this? Third generation decided that after meeting Mizuki for a while, they would explore Mizuki's background. We must find out why Mizuki stays in Konoha and what his attitude is towards Konoha. Third generation waited for a long time, but did not get Mizuki. Didn't Mizuki return to the village? Where did he go? Anbu reported. Hokage-sama, after Mizuki returned to the village, he heard that Iruka was injured in the explosion in Hokage's office and was hospitalized, so he went directly to the hospital to visit. Third generation frowned. Mizuki goes to Konoha to visit Iruka. If a ninja mission fails, shouldn't the first thing you do when you return to the village be come to the Hokage building and report the reasons and details of the mission failure to Hokage? Why go to the hospital to visit the patient first? This is unreasonable, very unreasonable. Could it be that he really blew up the office? Now that he knows that Iruka was injured due to the explosion, he feels guilty and rushes to visit him immediately. Third generation felt that they had guessed the truth. According to his understanding, it wasn't you who blew it up, so why are you feeling guilty? But this also illustrates something from the side. Third generation narrowed his eyes. Mizuki still has friendship for Iruka. His mind was spinning quickly. If the two of them are allowed to have more contact, or even perform tasks together, and develop this friendship into a bond, then there will be more ways to deal with him. Tsubaki's death made third generation feel that Mizuki was a cold-blooded person. A cold-blooded person has no emotional weakness and acts unscrupulously without caring about the consequences. This kind of person is the most difficult to deal with. Advertisement. Because you have no other choice but to use stronger force to defeat him. Threaten the lives of loved ones. Sorry, cold-blooded people have no affection in their eyes. Similarly, friendship and love cannot be used as a bargaining chip for threats. Because cold-blooded people don't care at all. Now, Mizuki goes to visit Iruka, making third generation feel that Mizuki is not a completely cold-blooded person. As such, Mizuki is not without emotional weaknesses. If used well, this will be a shortcut to subdue Mizuki. Third generation narrowed its eyes and began to formulate a new plan. Konoha Hospital. Iruka was lying on the bed, his body covered with bandages, but he was awake. Mizuki, I didn't expect you to come see me. Mizuki stood beside the bed and said, we are friends who grew up together after all. Isn't it right to come and see you? Iruka. Friends, I thought. Halfway through his words, he suddenly fell silent. It's exactly what third generation suspected. Mizuki felt a little guilty, so after returning to Konoha, he came to the hospital to visit Iruka as soon as possible. He couldn't care so much about the others who were killed or injured, and could only say sorry in his heart. Of course, visiting Iruka also has another purpose, which is to let the villagers know that he, Mizuki, is not a cold-blooded person. He insisted on staying in Konoha, and his image still had to be maintained. Although it was a bit frustrating to stay in Konoha and be targeted every 2 days, he still had no intention of defecting. At least, there are no plans to defect at this stage. Even if he defected, he would not join other forces. Neither the Akatsuki organization nor the Sound Ninja Village had any appeal to him. If he really defected, he would only create a force of his own. He is not ready now. He doesn't know what he should do. In short, he has no ideals and no goals to strive for. Black Zetsu has been planning for thousands of years to resurrect his mother. Orochimaru established the Sound Ninja Village to conduct research and gain immortality. The ideal of the Akatsuki organization is peace in the shinobi world. Uchiha Madara and Obito want to use infinite Tsukuyomi to build a beautiful dream world. In comparison, Mizuki has not yet found his ideal. Perhaps, returning to the earth is a good ideal, but this ideal is too far away and too illusory. An ideal without hope is just a daydream. Thinking about it, Mizuki suddenly felt a little irritable. In his previous life, he was a loser who had no ideals and fell into disrepute after graduating from college. After traveling through time, there was still no ideal. He couldn't help but feel a negative feeling that life was meaningless. Looking at Mizuki standing beside the bed in a daze, Iruka suddenly asked, Mizuki, do you know the cause of Tsubaki's death? Mizuki frowned and said, I don't know. He didn't want to say more about this matter. It's best for Iruka not to know anything, otherwise something could easily happen. Iruka refused to give up. The Hokage office was bombed. Was it you? Mizuki said again. No. Okay. I failed this mission and need to report to the third Hokage. I'll see you next time. After saying that, Mizuki turned and left. Watching Mizuki walk out of the ward, Iruka sighed. I saw Chun leave with Genin that day. She should have died in front of you. I just hope she doesn't die in your hands. Chapter 50. The Daimyo's Condemnation, Third Generation. As soon as Mizuki walked out of the ward, a man walked towards him. He had medium-long silver hair, round glasses, and a warm smile on his face. He looked very harmless. Yakushi Kabuto. Mizuki recognized this person's identity at a glance. Looking at Hokage in the past life, Mizuki's 3 most hated characters, Shimura Danzo, Haruno Sakura, and Yakushi Kabuto. The dislike for Yakushi Kabuto stems from this person's unscrupulous behavior. Of course, this is also a poor man. He personally killed the orphanage director who loved him most, his adoptive mother, Yakushi no, and he lost his direction in life from then on. Becoming cold-blooded, cruel, hypocritical, and pathetic. Third generation and Danzo did it. Most of the tragedies that occur in Hokage have Danzo or third generation behind them. Mizuki looked at Yakushi Kabuto, but Yakushi Kabuto pretended not to know him at all. I'm intern Yakushi Kabuto, may I help you? Mizuki smiled and said, I do need your help with something, but I don't know if you dare. Kabuto immediately realized that Mizuki knew him and knew his identity. But as an excellent spy, Kabuto had excellent psychological quality. Even if he knew that he had been exposed, he remained calm and did not show any abnormality. I'm just an intern. I can't help with things that are too complicated. Mizuki said. It's not complicated, and you're definitely interested. Kabuto immediately showed interest and said, in that case, please give me your orders. Mizuki looked around and said, forget it for today, let's do it next time. After saying that, he passed by Kabuto. Kabuto's eyes were in a daze for a while, but when he came back to his senses, Mizuki had already walked away. Turning back and watching Mizuki's leaving figure, Kabuto had a strange smile on his lips. Uchiha Itachi joined the Akatsuki organization to become a spy. Interesting. Really interesting. Just now, Mizuki cast a simple illusion on Yakushi Kabuto, and in the illusion, told Yakushi Kabuto Uchiha Itachi's spy identity. Mizuki's purpose is to spread the word through Orochimaru. You can promote it yourself, but others won't believe it. If Orochimaru is publicized, its credibility will increase. Uchiha Itachi wanted to kill him so much, so he had to express it to some extent. If he didn't have the chance to kill him, he could always create some trouble. In addition, he can also perform genjutsu, and his attainments are probably quite high. I need to tell Orochimaru-sama about this information. Orochimaru's living corpse reincarnation, although you can achieve eternal youth by changing your body. Advertisement. But every time he was reincarnated, his spirit was damaged. This also resulted in Orochimaru's resistance to illusions being severely reduced. This was the reason why Itachi looked at him for a second. Now that Yakushi Kabuto has discovered that Mizuki's genjutsu skills are not low, he naturally wants to inform Orochimaru and ask Orochimaru to be on guard. After all, the two parties agreed to cooperate in the country of waves. Don't be stabbed in the back by your partner then, it will be fun. Mizuki left the hospital, went to the Hokage building, and came to the temporary office to report the details of the mission to third generation. But I was told that third generation was not here. In a conference room, the rectangular conference table was full of people. The one sitting at the top of the table was the daimyo of the Land of Fire, holding a cattail leaf fan in his hand. The maid behind the daimyo holds a kitten with a bow in her arms. It is the daimyo's lady's little tiger. This time Mrs. Daimyo came to Konoha to issue a mission to find Xiaohu. As soon as Xiaohu was found, she was affected by the explosion and died. The cat survived, intact. To the left of the daimyo, sat Konoha's third-generation Sarutobi Hiruzen, two advisors Mitokado Homura and Udatane Kaharu, and Hokage think tank Nara Shikaku. On the right side, there are officials from Daming Mansion. These officials all put on a posture of launching an army to investigate. An official stood up and said, "Third Hokage, something like this happened to the daimyo's lady in Konoha. This incident is a huge blow to the fire country and the daimyo himself. As a Hokage, it is not good for you to protect the lady. It really shouldn't be." The daimyo nodded and said, "That's right, it's too inappropriate." The daimyo's wife died, but there was no sense of sadness on his face. Probably, the relationship between the couple was very bad, or even disgusted. The official added, "The murderer has not been caught until now. Are all the ninjas in Konoha living on dry food? All the military expenses provided by the Daming Palace every year are fed to pigs." The official was not polite at all. The four Konoha people opposite had ugly expressions. Fortunately, the four of them are quite young and have cultivated their mind and character. If a young one had come, they would probably explode at this time. The murderer must be caught as soon as possible and sent to Daming Mansion to be beheaded in public to avenge his wife. In addition, as the third Hokage, you bear the main responsibility for the death of my wife. Be prepared to take the blame and resign, and replace it with someone more capable. The third generation stood up and bowed deeply to the daimyo. "Lord Daimyo, I deeply apologize for this attack. I have planned to resign from the Hokage, but the Chunin exam is about to take place and it is not convenient to hand over the power. When the Chunin exam is over, I will resign immediately and choose a new Hokage. I have sent people to find Tsunade. As the granddaughter of the first generation and one of the Sannin, Tsunade is qualified to hold the position of Hokage." The daimyo nodded. The Chunin exam is about to begin, and it's really inappropriate to switch to Hokage now. Anyway, it's only a month at most, so I can afford to wait. Advertisement. So, where is the murderer? Third generation said. The initial suspicion is that it was Uchiha Itachi, because Uchiha Itachi was near Konoha on the day of the incident. That day Uchiha Itachi came near Konoha, used the summoning beast Crow to carry a large number of detonating charms, and rushed directly into my office, causing a horrific explosion. He actually wanted to say that the murderer was Mizuki, and then take the opportunity to attack Mizuki, using the power of the entire village to kill or even capture Mizuki alive. But again, there is no evidence. Daming and officials of the Daming Prefecture cannot be fooled by just a few words. You say Mizuki is the murderer, but where is the evidence? What? No evidence. Do you really think that my name is a fool, and you just want to scare this matter away by finding someone to blame? Do you no longer want Konoha's funds? Does the Hokage building not want to be renovated? Does the ninja not want to eat? And throw out Uchiha Itachi, and the daimyo has nothing to say. Uchiha Itachi is a traitorous ninja and attacked Konoha out of hatred. This is probably a good reason. Uchiha Itachi did appear near Konoha, so he wasn't just wandering around. Sure enough, upon hearing the words Uchiha Itachi, the daimyo's eyes immediately became solemn. That traitorous ninja who massacred the entire Uchiha clan. Only such a person could successfully attack the Hokage tower. The daimyo had no doubt at all and directly identified Uchiha Itachi as the murderer of the attack on Konoha. The third generation looked confused. You also know Uchiha Itachi's strength. It is a bit difficult to capture him. Moreover, the Chunin exam is coming soon, and the village cannot spare manpower, so I asked the daimyo to give him more time. The daimyo said, I don't care whether it's difficult or not, anyway. Before the daimyo finished speaking, the door to the conference room was suddenly pushed open. The sound of the door opening attracted everyone's attention, and the daimyo's words were interrupted. The daimyo was unhappy, but when he saw the people coming in, he didn't dare to say anything. The door opened and Danzo walked in, followed by two people, one large and one small. Danzo, what are you doing here? You have been relieved of your duties now. You are not eligible to participate in this meeting. Third generation scolded. Danzo ignored third generation, but looked at the daimyo. Lord Daimyo, Hiruzen is lying to you. The murderer of this explosion is not Uchiha Itachi at all, but a special jonin in the village, Mizuki. Danzo, shut up and get out immediately. Third generation slammed the table, stood up and shouted. Danzo, who used to be obedient to third generation, disobeyed this time. Third generation made such a big mistake this time, and its prestige among the villagers has dropped to an all-time low. He was blamed by the daimyo again and was about to take the blame and resign. Danzo already has disdain for this third generation. A Hokage who is about to step down does not deserve my respect and obedience. Elder Danzo, you said the murderer was that Mizuki, do you have any evidence? The daimyo asked. Danzo smiled, turned around and pointed at the two people behind him, one large and one small, and said, the two of them are the evidence. These two people, one is the director of the orphanage, and the other is Nobita. Chapter 51. A strange combination of circumstances. Third generation stopped talking. He originally thought that Danzo was lying, but now that he had evidence, he began to look forward to it. If there is really evidence, Mizuki can be dealt with openly. There are also assassinations and poisonings, just kill them directly. Just because the Akatsuki can't kill Mizuki doesn't mean Konoha can't. There were so many ninjas in the village, and they could wear him to death. Tell me about it, the daimyo urged. Danzo said to the dean and Nobita. You two, tell me what you saw before. Nobita tugged on the hem of the dean's clothes, his eyes full of prayer. The dean sighed and said, Mizuki, he has something with wings like a bird. The surface of that thing is covered with detonating symbols. At that time, the thing seemed to appear in his hand out of thin air, but he quickly put it into his ninja bag. The kids and I all saw it. A few kids asked what it was, but Mizuki didn't explain. Third generation is speechless. What is this? He turned to look at Danzo and asked accusingly, is this the evidence you found? Obviously, these alone are not enough to prove that it was Mizuki who attacked the Hokage building. Danzo looked confident. No one but Mizuki. First of all, the things Mizuki has in the orphanage are enough to destroy the Hokage office. Secondly, according to Yamanaka Haichi, it only took 3 seconds from the time the unknown object entered the barrier to the time the Hokage building was attacked. This kind of terrifying flying speed is definitely not something a bird can achieve. Even the tailed beast bomb are not so fast. Therefore, it is completely untrue to say that the murderer is Uchiha Itachi. And Mizuki knows time and space ninjutsu. I have reason to suspect that the unknown object that attacked the Hokage building was exerted time and space ninjutsu, so it can move from the barrier to the Hokage building in 3 seconds. Hearing this, third generation and the two consultants nodded. Finally, the unknown object entered the barrier from the entrance of the village. At that time, the caravan protected by Mizuki had only left the village for less than 2 minutes. If it's a coincidence, then with so many coincidences put together, it definitely can't be a coincidence. The murderer who attacked the Hokage building and caused the death of the daimyo lady was definitely Mizuki. Everyone lowered their eyebrows and groaned. At this time, Nara Shikaku said, although the reasoning is very reasonable, it is still too far-fetched. We cannot 100% prove that Mizuki is the murderer. We can only say that he is a suspect. Danzo smiled and said, as long as there is suspicion, it cannot be ignored. It is very simple to find out. Send someone to arrest him, and then send him to the torture squad for investigation. If he doesn't resist, it means he is not the murderer. If he resists, then there is something wrong in his heart. The daimyo looked at third generation and asked, Third Hokage, what do you mean? Third generation glanced at Danzo and said, just do as Danzo says. However, Mizuki is very strong and has a very good escape ability. We must be fully prepared. Once he resists, he must be killed with thunderous means. Third generation finally made up their mind to take action against Mizuki. Since there is evidence this time, it is an excellent opportunity. Lord Daimyo, Mizuki is very strong. To prevent accidents, please return to Daming Mansion first. Leave the rest to us. The daimyo nodded and said, in that case, it's hard work. The daimyo left with his officials and entourage, and the maid followed behind, hugging the cat Xiaohu. Just after leaving Konoha village, the daimyo said in the sedan chair, it's all my fault that this cat killed my wife. But it was my wife's favorite pet during her lifetime, so I won't kill it. Throw it away and let it die. Advertisement. The maid could only throw the cat away. As soon as the cat landed on the ground, it immediately ran away and disappeared into the woods on the roadside. As a habitual offender, its ability to survive in the wild is also first-rate, not inferior to that of wild cats. Still in the same office, third generation is formulating a plan to deal with Mizuki. Danzo left the conference room with the orphanage director and Nobita. Lord Danzo, what you promised is. Danzo said. Don't worry, since you have come out to testify against Mizuki, I will send people back to the orphanage for those children. However, This child has ninja qualifications, and we need such talents at our root. Let him follow me from now on. The face of the director of the orphanage changed, and his eyes were full of unbearability. He knew what he would face once he got to the root. Unfortunately, he didn't have the right to refuse. In the conference room, third generation listed Mizuki's abilities, especially his ability to escape. The first is the disembodiment. According to analysis, Mizuki needs to sense the target before he can perform this technique, and then he can exchange places with the target. In addition to visual perception, Mizuki has another kind of perception. According to the news sent back by Kakashi, under Mizuki's teaching, Sasuke can distinguish the movements around him by hearing even with his eyes closed, and can even accurately shoot down shurikens flying around him with kunai. It can be seen from this that Mizuki's other sensory ability is hearing. As long as Mizuki's vision and hearing are blocked so that he can't perceive surrounding objects, apparition will not be possible. Then, Mizuki can switch places with the clone. Third generation already knows a lot about Mizuki's abilities. The plans formulated are also specifically for Mizuki. Hokage building, Mizuki waited for a long time, but the third generation still didn't come back. He didn't plan to wait any longer. It's already noon. Let's go have lunch first, and then go to the orphanage to see Nobita. He ate something casually on the street, then bought a lot of snacks and headed to the orphanage. But when he arrived at the orphanage, he found it empty. Going out for an autumn outing. But why is the door open? He squinted his eyes, walked into the orphanage, and looked around. The more I looked, the more something felt wrong. Half-washed dishes in the sink, half-washed clothes soaked in the bucket, and a broom thrown on the floor. All this shows that the people here did not plan to go out, but left suddenly, or even were taken away forcibly. Who did it? Mizuki immediately thought of Danzo. No one except Danzo would do such a thing. He immediately went out and searched around, and soon found the children's footprints on the ground. After walking for nearly half an hour following the footprints, Mizuki arrived at the foot of a mountain. In front of him was a cave. Just as he was about to go into the cave to take a look, he suddenly heard voices coming from behind him. Danzo's voice. Mizuki immediately hid behind a rock. After a while, two people appeared in sight. One of them was Danzo, and the other was what Mizuki didn't expect, his apprentice, Nobita. Danzo wants Nobita to join General. From Nobita's face, Mizuki could tell that he was being coerced. Mizuki watched secretly, wanting to hear what Danzo had to say. Advertisement. But when they got here, Danzo stopped talking and just pulled Nobita and prepared to enter the cave. This is a good opportunity. Mizuki felt malicious. Danzo has Izanagi, but the activation of Izanagi is not instantaneous and requires a seal. Danzo never expected me to be here, so he launched a sneak attack and it was 100% successful. Previously, Danzo wanted to use distinguished heavenly gods to control himself, and Mizuki has not forgotten this hatred. I let him run away last time, but he definitely won't do it this time. Well, it's better to be safe. The storage ring flashed, a kunai appeared on the right hand, and on the left hand, the Rasengan also took shape. The next moment, Mizuki appeared behind Danzo. A cold light flashed. Ah! Along with the scream, Danzo's right hand was cut off by the root. At the same time, Rasengan also hit Danzo on the back. The terrifying force directly penetrated Danzo's chest and broke his heart. Danzo had no time to react and died immediately. He never imagined that he would be attacked in his own territory. It's only strange that third generation took away all his men, otherwise this place would be guarded at all times. Old dog, you have today too. Mizuki taunted Danzo's body, then picked up Danzo's arm that fell on the ground and put it into the storage ring. Nobita on the side had never seen such a bloody scene before, and he was frightened. Nobita, come to your senses. After a while, Nobita came to his senses and looked at Mizuki with fear and avoidance in his eyes. What? You've never seen anyone killed? I've seen it. My parents were killed by bandits. Then do you want to avenge your parents? Think. If you want to, don't be afraid of killing. If you are afraid of killing, how will you take revenge in the future? Most of Da Shang's fear immediately dissipated. Mizuki walked towards the body, preparing to remove Danzo's right eye. At the same time, he asked, why are you with Danzo? Nobita immediately said, Master Mizuki, the daimyo and Hokage want to kill you. What? Mizuki was startled, looked back at Nobita, and said, tell me the whole story. After Nobita told him, Mizuki immediately realized that he could no longer stay in Konoha. Not resisting. How could I not resist? What a third generation, finally found a chance. Mizuki felt lucky that by some chance, he knew the news in advance. If you remain in the dark, the consequences will be disastrous. Don't underestimate Konoha, and don't underestimate third generation. If you walk into an ambush, you might really fall into trouble. After all, third generation already knows what he is capable of. Damn it, now I really have no choice but to defect. But after leaving Konoha, how can I rely on system returns to improve my strength? Mizuki thought about it and finally made a decision. Take Naruto and Sasuke away together. Chapter 52. Third generation vomits blood. After checking Danzo's body and confirming that he was dead, he removed Danzo's right eye. How come it's just a regular 3-tomo Sharingan? Did Danzo have expected that he would die, so he hid Shisui's eyes in advance? Mizuki didn't know that Shisui's eyes had been taken away by the third generation. He stood up and looked at Danzo's body. If his body is sold to a money exchange, it should be worth a lot of money, right? Unfortunately, there is no room for the storage ring. Moreover, he is not short of money. Let's go in and rescue your friends. After saying goodbye to them, you can leave Konoha with me. From Nobita's mouth, Mizuki learned that the people in the orphanage were locked in a cell inside the cave. Guarding the cell were two teenagers. At this time, inside the cave and at the door of the cell, two young men wearing navel-bearing clothes looked a little confused. Brother Shin, the curse mark on your tongue is gone, does that mean? The black-haired boy stuck out his tongue. He is none other than Sai. At this time, Shin and Sai have not officially joined the root. They have not yet experienced the last test of their roots, and their feelings have not yet faded. Because all the root ninjas were taken away by the third generation and there was no one available for Danzo, Shin and Sai who were practicing were called to guard the cell. The letter said, the curse seal was planted by Master Danzo himself. Since the curse seal disappears, it means that Master Danzo is dead. Sai. Master Danzo died, wouldn't the roots be disbanded? Shin smiled and said, this is a good thing for us. Sai's eyes widened and he said in disbelief, a good thing. Shin nodded and cheered in his heart. Good thing. As the older brother, Shin is more mature and understands more. He had long known that he and Sai would kill each other sooner or later. The living person will completely lose his emotions and become a killing tool that only obeys Danzo's orders. But his love for his brother destined him not to attack Sai. This is why, in the anime, Nobu would rather die with love for his brother than kill his brother and live without emotion. Brother Shin, what should we do now? Sai asked. Shin is also confused about this issue. Yes, Danzo is dead, what should we do next? From now on, you might as well follow me. The sudden sound behind them startled Shin and Sai. Who are you? Shin immediately pulled out the long knife and protected Sai behind him. Another Brokon. I'm Mizuki, and I'm a Konoha shinobi, well, about to become a rebel nin. Mizuki took Nobita and stood not far from the two of them. I killed Danzo. I am considered your benefactor and freed you from the control of fate. So, follow me and leave Konoha. Sai said. You killed Lord Danzo, you are clearly our enemy. You still want us to defect with you. This is absolutely impossible. Shin said. Can you really take us out of Konoha? Sai looked at Shin with wide eyes and asked in disbelief. Brother Shin, why are you? Shin said. Sai, whether you believe it or not, I still have to tell you that Konoha is not worthy of our service. Mizuki looked at the letter with approval, but he didn't expect that this boy had seen through the darkness of Konoha. Sai, you probably don't know that if Danzo doesn't die, your brother will die soon. Sai said. Brother is fine, why did he die? Mizuki explained. People trained from the root must have no emotions and become specialized killing tools. Danzo will use extremely cruel methods to destroy people's emotions. Advertisement. You and your brother Shin were arranged by Danzo to live together since childhood and developed a very deep relationship. But soon, Danzo will order you two to kill each other. Your brother can't bear to kill you, so he will die in your hands. My dearest brother was killed by me. From then on, your emotions will be completely closed and you will become an emotionless killing tool. Sai's eyes widened and his hands clenched into fists. He muttered. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Mizuki said. Is it possible? Just ask your brother and you will know. Sai couldn't help but look at the letter. Shin nodded and said. As he said, it is indeed the case. A few years ago, I discovered the root cultivation mode. At the same time, I am indeed prepared to die in your hands. After hearing this, Sai's face instantly turned pale, but his eyes became ferocious. Shin hurriedly patted Sai on the shoulder. Okay, it's okay now. Danzo is dead and we are free. He turned to Mizuki and said, I am willing to follow you and leave Konoha. However, can you guarantee Sai's safety? After all, rebel ninjas will face endless pursuit. Mizuki looked at the letter, then pouted at Sai and said, don't you want to ask his opinion? Sai hurriedly said, wherever my brother goes, I will go. A smile finally appeared on Mizuki's face. Don't worry, I'm not weak. It won't be difficult for you to gain a firm foothold in the ninja world. I was very lucky today. Not only did I kill Danzo, but I also unexpectedly gained 2 apprentice candidates with good qualifications. Although the quota for recruiting disciples is full and it is temporarily impossible to obtain rewards from them, it does not matter. Take the person away first and then talk. After leaving Konoha, find a small country to build a ninja village, and I will be the shadow. There will be no need to take the exam, and Naruto Sasuke Nobita will become a chunin directly. Then the number of apprentices in the system will be increased. The plan was perfect. Don't worry about not being able to develop. At the same time, outside the cave, 3 patrolling Anbu passed by and discovered Danzo's body. It's Elder Danzo. They came to the body and after just one glance, one of them announced, dead. I will take the body back and hand it over to Mr. Third Generation. The murderer may still be in the cave. You guys should stay here, but don't act rashly. Just keep an eye on him in the dark. The team leader crouched down and was about to pick up Danzo's body when he suddenly saw the penetrating wound on Danzo's chest. The white granulation was actually moving and repairing at an extraordinary speed. Danzo was transplanted with Hashirama cells, providing him with strong vitality. Not quite dead yet. Maybe there's still hope. The team leader carried the body on his back and moved towards the village as quickly as possible. His two team members looked at each other and hid in the darkness. When Mizuki and others came out of the cave, they found that Danzo's body was missing. He immediately used echolocation to explore the surroundings, and immediately discovered the two Anbu hiding in the dark. The two Anbu realized it was Mizuki and immediately realized something was wrong. Mizuki can sense the information of ninjutsu, and Anbu already knows it. Moreover, Mizuki is so powerful that they cannot resist it. The first reaction of the two of them was to run away. Mizuki didn't make a move and allowed the two of them to escape. Although he is not a good person, he also has a clear sense of grudges. The ones who have a grudge against him are third generation and Danzo. There is no need to chase and kill other ninjas in Konoha who have no grievances or grudges. As for the people who died in the explosion at the Hokage building, he could only say that it was the third generation that was to blame. It was the third generation that implicated them. Go back to the orphanage by yourself. Don't worry, Danzo is dead. No one will do anything to you now. Advertisement. After sending away the people from the orphanage, Mizuki said to Sai, "You can draw flying birds in your fake paintings of super beasts." Sai was surprised. "How did you know?" Mizuki. "Don't worry, now take Shin and Nobita and fly out of Konoha village, fly to the west, stop and wait for me at the border of the land of fire and the land of rain. I still have some things to deal with. I will meet you in 5 days at the latest. There are no flying ninjas in Konoha for the time being, unless Might Guy opens the 8th gate. Therefore, it would be safe to let the three of them leave from the air." Sai took out the scroll and pen and drew 3 big birds in a few strokes. The 3 of them rode on them and soared into the sky, straight into the clouds. In the blink of an eye, Mizuki was the only one left outside the cave. His figure gradually rose, and he stepped on the air and flew towards the Hokage rock. At this point, third generation has seen Danzo's corpse. This penetrating injury was caused by Rasengan. Mizuki attacked Danzo. The third generation's expression changed slightly, and they realized something was wrong, and Mizuki actually attacked the village's senior officials directly. With such a brazen showdown, it was obvious that he already knew that the village chief wanted to kill him and planned to strike preemptively. This is bad. Third generation took all of Mizuki's abilities into consideration and formulated targeted tactics. Just waiting for Mizuki to fall into the trap, it would be able to kill him 100%. But he never expected that such a big change would occur. Damn Danzo, you loser. At this moment, Anbu reported. Third Hokage-sama, there is news from the barrier class that 3 people left Konoha from the air. Also, Mizuki has already flown towards the Hokage building. The third generation was shocked and said, "Quick, go to the Hokage building immediately. We must not allow Mizuki to cause more serious damage to the Hokage building." When the third generation arrived at the Hokage building, they saw Mizuki hanging high in the sky. At this time, Mizuki, holding an unconscious child in his hand, looked at third generation with a smile on his face. The child in his hands is none other than the grandson of the third generation, Konohamaru. "Mizuki, what do you want to do? Let Konohamaru go." The only grandson was in Mizuki's hands, and third generation panicked. So high in the air, he couldn't save him even if he wanted to. Ninjutsu may be so high, but when Konohamaru is in Mizuki's hands, who dares to attack? Third Hokage, I actually have a good impression of Konoha. But you have repeatedly tried to kill me, framed, assassinated, poisoned, and even wanted to use the hands of Zabuza and the Akatsuki organization to kill me. You really have good intentions. In this case, I am too lazy to stay in Konoha anymore, so I will defect today. Having said this, Mizuki took out a kunai, slashed his forehead protector, and declared himself a rebel nin in front of everyone in Konoha. To thank you for your hospitality in the past, I will give you 2 big gifts today. Now comes the first big gift. He looked at the Hokage rock, raised his right hand above his head, with his palm facing the sky, formed the Rasengan Shuriken, and then threw it towards the Hokage rock. In full view of everyone, the rock statues from 1st generation to 4th generation suddenly collapsed. The second great gift is your grandson. Third generation shouted. Mizuki, if you dare to attack a child, there will be no place for you in the entire ninja world. Mizuki smiled and said, "Don't worry, I won't kill him. On the contrary, I will take him away, accept him as a disciple, and teach him various ninjutsu. Then let him come back and destroy your beloved Konoha village." Ha ha ha. With laughter, Mizuki took Konohamaru and flew eastward. Poof. Third generation was so angry that blood spurted out. He could only watch Mizuki leave, helpless. After flying out of the barrier, Mizuki looked back at the bustling Konoha with a sneer on his face. Haha, believe me, you will vomit more blood when you know that Naruto and Sasuke are also taken away by me. Chapter 53. Return to the Land of Waves. No one in Konoha village now has the ability to stop the flying ninja. Just like Tendo Pain flying high into the sky to release super. During Shinra's Tianzhong, no one in Konoha could stop it. Flying is simply not a field that ordinary ninjas can enter. Not even hot moms. Downstairs from Hokage, third generation looked at Mizuki, who was flying away, with cold eyes. The surrounding ninjas were also silent, not knowing what to say. Only Asuma walked up to third generation and asked, "Old man, what should we do next?" Naruto's identity. If he is really taken away, it will be a huge loss to the village. Third generation said with a gloomy face. With the speed at which he is flying, even if he sends a message now to inform Kakashi to take people out of the country of waves, it will be too late. Asuma frowned and said, "Are we just going to watch him take Naruto away?" Third generation looked struggling, as if he was struggling with something. After half a minute passed, he let out a long sigh of relief, as if he had made up his mind. The top priority is the Chunin exam. As for Mizuki, you don't need to spend too much manpower and energy. Just send a small number of ninjas to find out where Mizuki is staying. Asuma's eyes widened and he asked in disbelief, "Old man, do you really don't care?" That's Jinchuriki. Third generation waved its hand and said, "I have my own opinion on this matter." After saying that, he walked into the Hokage building and soon reached the top platform of the Hokage building. Looking at the Hokage rock statue destroyed by Mizuki, third generation sighed. "You guys, don't blame me. At this point, I can only do this." After sighing, he went downstairs. Instead of going to the temporary office, he walked towards the ninjutsu scroll collection room. After Mizuki flew out of Konoha village, he did not land on the ground, but continued flying at the fastest speed. Because Konohamaru was with him, the speed was slightly affected, but it still reached 250 kilometers per hour. He's in a hurry. Chakra consumes a lot of energy, 0.01 calories per second, and 0.6 calories per minute. Although the super soldier food pill brought him a chakra recovery speed of 0.3 calories per minute, it still couldn't keep up with the consumption. Taken together, chakra consumes 0.3 calories per minute. With his current total amount of chakra of 14.5 calories, he can fly for almost 50 minutes and more than 200 kilometers in one breath. He can also refine chakra while flying. Super chakra refining method. The speed of refining chakra is 100 times that of ordinary refining method. Fully able to support consumption. In this way, he can bring Luffy to the land of waves. However, it takes more than 2 hours of straight line journey of more than 500 kilometers to reach the country of waves. According to the schedule, the Wave Country Bridge has been completed. Maybe the 7th class is already on its way back. As he flew, he checked the road below. Can't miss it. After meeting them, Sasuke is easy to talk to. Once he tells the truth about Itachi's annihilation, Sasuke will definitely rebel against the village immediately. The most troublesome thing is Naruto. Being treated like that by the villagers in the village, with such soul-wounding indifference, made adults tremble, let alone a child. But Naruto could bear it. He who should be darkened the most never did. Simply inhuman. Even with a different mouth, it was said that Pain cast Rinne Tensei and became the savior of Konoha, that Obito gave up Ten Tails Jinchuriki and became the savior of the ninja world. Advertisement. With just one word, I ask you whether you are convinced or not. So now, Mizuki is also a little worried. Well, it's not like there's no chance at all. In the first episode of the original work, under the stimulation of Mizuki's words, Naruto almost turned black. If it weren't for Iruka, the Hokage might have taken another direction. But now, because of his arrival, the plot of Iruka resolving the darkness in Naruto's heart did not happen in the original work. In other words, there is still darkness in Naruto's heart, but it has never been stimulated. Thinking of this, Mizuki smiled. If this doesn't work, then just tie him up. Take him back and slowly brainwash him. I won't believe that I am taking him to his side. As for little Sakura, Mizuki basically doesn't think about it. The most important thing is that little Sakura's parents are still alive. She won't defect unless her parents are killed by the third generation. Maybe I can design it in the future. Forget it, I don't want to become the second Danzo. Youngster Sakura, it doesn't matter. The most important ones are Naruto and Sasuke. These two talents are S-level and have the highest comprehensive return multiplier. Everyone else can be left alone, but these two must be taken away no matter what. Time passed quickly, and 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. Mizuki was already very close to the east coast of the Land of Fire. But along the way, there was no sign of Class 7. What's going on? Did we take a detour? When Mizuki arrived at the beach and saw the unfinished bridge from a distance, he felt very strange. When I left the country of waves, there were only 3 days of work left on the bridge. It's already the 4th day, why isn't it completed yet? He continued to fly forward and arrived at the Kingdom of Waves, where he found a large number of traces of battles that were not there before. The forest was destroyed on a large scale and some islands were sunk. Compared to these, the destruction caused by the previous battle between Orochimaru and Anbu was like playing house. What happened here? Mizuki's eyes widened and he couldn't understand. Can the battle between Kakashi and Zabuza cause this level of destruction? Could it be possible that Nine Tails escaped the seal? Naruto and Sasuke, please don't let anything happen. He had a bad feeling in his heart, so he sped up and flew to Dazuna's house. After knocking on the door, the person who opened the door was Tazuna's daughter, Tsunami. Mr. Mizuki, why are you here? Mizuki asked hurriedly. Where are Naruto and the others? Are they all okay? Tsunami said. Everyone is here, but Kakashi and Sasuke are injured. What happened in the Kingdom of Waves these past few days? Why are there signs of destruction everywhere? At this time, the people in the room knew from the sound that Mizuki was coming. Naruto immediately came out and shouted happily, Master Mizuki, it's great that you are here. Tsunami opened the door and invited Mizuki into the room. At this moment, little Sakura's voice suddenly sounded. Naruto, back up. At the same time, she had taken out her kunai, and her eyes were fixed on Mizuki, full of vigilance. Naruto didn't understand the situation and asked little Sakura, Hey, little Sakura, what are you doing? Don't you even recognize Master Mizuki? Little Sakura scolded. Idiot, look at his forehead protector. Forehead protector. What's wrong with the forehead protector? Naruto looked at Mizuki's forehead protector and wondered, Hey, there's an extra scratch, it seems a bit familiar. Little Sakura said. Idiot, did you forget Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame who came this morning? Didn't you pay attention to their forehead protectors? Naruto's eyes narrowed, and the way he looked at Mizuki changed immediately. Advertisement. Extremely surprised, puzzled, and unbelievable. Master Mizuki, you have become a traitorous ninja. Naruto struggled to say the word, rebellious ninja. Becoming a rebel ninja means that Mizuki betrayed Konoha and became enemies with Konoha from then on. Mizuki nodded and said, Yes, I have betrayed Konoha, and I will no longer be a ninja of Konoha. Why? The questions asked from Naruto about why were always so profound, making it easy for people to feel guilty that I seem to have done something wrong. Mizuki. Konoha can't tolerate me. The third generation wants to kill me, so I have no choice but to leave. Naruto immediately shook his head and said, Grandpa third generation is not that kind of person. There must be some misunderstanding. I will go back to the village now and ask him to find out. After saying that, he ran out the door. Mizuki grabbed him and said, It's useless, and besides, it's too late. Besides, I came here today to take you and Sasuke away. Naruto was stunned and asked, What do you mean? What do you mean, take me and Sasuke away? Little Sakura yelled, No, Sasuke-kun will never be a traitor. The noise downstairs was noticed by the people upstairs. Kakashi and Sasuke came downstairs sickly. Mizuki, why are you here, you? Kakashi was mid-sentence when he saw Mizuki's forehead protector and was speechless. Sasuke also saw it clearly, but his reaction was the smallest. To Sasuke, it didn't matter whether Mizuki was a traitor or not. Mizuki said again, I came today to take away Naruto and Sasuke. No, this is absolutely not possible. Kakashi refused immediately. Mizuki, I don't know what happened to you, but the conflict between you and the third generation should not involve Naruto. Besides, you don't know the importance of Naruto. If you take him away, Konoha will hunt you to the ends of the earth. Mizuki looked at Kakashi and suddenly smiled. Kakashi. Can you bear to watch your teacher's son being looked down upon in Konoha and being pointed at everywhere he goes? Can you bear to watch the son of a hero suffer unfair treatment until the day he dies fighting for Konoha? Can you bear to see him being reviled by the villagers after his death, and have the inhumane words, son of a demon fox, carved on his tombstone? A series of questions left Kakashi completely silent. Kakashi looked at Naruto, his eyes full of struggle and intolerance. At this moment, the smiling faces of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina appeared in his mind. Looking back at myself, I feel indifferent, heartless, and just sitting on the sidelines. Master Mizuki, Mr. Kakashi, what on earth are you talking about? Why can't I understand what son of a hero is? Naruto was very smart. From Mizuki's few words, he vaguely guessed that his life experience was not what the villagers said. Mizuki sighed and said, Naruto, it's time to tell you your life experience and the identity of your parents. Mizuki, you can't. Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi wanted to stop Mizuki, but Naruto had already stood in front of Kakashi, his eyes full of desire and determination. Kakashi-sensei, I, Naruto Uzumaki, have the right to know who my parents are. Kakashi opened his mouth and finally fell silent. Naruto, your mother's name is Uzumaki Kushina. She was the princess of the Uzumaki clan of the extinct Uzumaki kingdom and the previous Nine-Tails Jinchuriki of Konoha. Your father's name is Namikaze Minato. His identity is the fourth Hokage of Konoha village, the hero who sacrificed his life to save the village. Chapter 54. One by one. Naruto stared blankly at Mizuki, shocked by his identity. Also shocked were Sasuke and little Sakura, as well as the Dazuna family. No one expected that such a fool, Genin, who looked carefree and unreliable, would actually be the son of the fourth Hokage. Kakashi-sensei, is this true? Naruto looked at Kakashi. Kakashi sighed and nodded. Since I am the son of the fourth Hokage, why does everyone hate me? Why did I have to go fishing alone in the wild for food when I was a kid? Why do everyone call me the son of the demon fox? Obviously, my father is the hero who saved the village from the demon fox. Why on earth is this? At this time, cracks began to appear between Naruto and Konoha. His eyes began to turn gray. Kakashi said, Naruto, the reason why third generation conceals your identity is actually to protect you. You must not blame him. The fourth generation killed too many enemies during the Third Ninja War. If your identity is revealed, you will definitely suffer countless assassinations. Naruto's eyes suddenly brightened a little, as if he had seen the dawn. Haha, Mizuki couldn't help but sneer. This kind of rhetoric is just a lie to children. Kakashi, do you believe it? Your father Hatake Tsukumo, known as Konoha's White Fang, killed as many enemies as the fourth generation. You are Tsukumo's son. There are countless people who want to kill you. Why doesn't third generation hide your identity? Kakashi explained. This is different. At that time, I already had the ability to protect myself, and I didn't need to hide it at all. Mizuki asked. What about Konohamaru? He is the grandson of the third generation. Why doesn't the third generation conceal his identity? Kakashi. Konohamaru is protected. Mizuki sneered. Yes, the grandson of the third generation is protected, but the son of the fourth generation is left to fend for himself. Kakashi opened his mouth, but at this moment, he was speechless. His excuse seemed absurd even to himself. The fundamental reason why third generation concealed Naruto's true identity was to make all the villagers hate him, and cause indelible trauma to his young psychology. Then, the third generation appeared in Naruto's life from time to time, giving Naruto care and love. This made Naruto have an unparalleled affection for the third generation, obey the third generation's words, and become the third generation's most loyal puppet. A person spent day after day in the darkness, cold, desolate, and full of despair. And in this darkness, there is a light that appears from time to time, warm, bright, and bringing hope. This person will have an infinite fondness for this light. But he didn't know that all the darkness was created by this light. At this time, Naruto clenched his fists. What came to mind was one indifferent look after another. Suddenly, the kind smiling faces of third generation appeared, dispelling the indifference around them. But the next moment, the kind smile turned into a cold sneer. No, this isn't true, Kakashi-sensei, tell me, this isn't true. Kakashi wanted to defend, but unfortunately, he really had nothing to say at this moment. Advertisement. Naruto's clenched fists unclenched. He was completely disappointed with Konoha and the third generation. Konohamaru is the grandson of the third generation. He has been loved by everyone since he was a child. No matter what mistakes he makes, his family will forgive him because his grandfather is a Hokage. But I am obviously a son of the fourth generation, but I have been disliked and hated by others since I was a child. I will be criticized for everything I do. No one likes me, and even my peers are not willing to be friends with me. Why? Why on earth? Naruto's heart was filled with grievance and sadness. He hates the people of Konoha village, hates the third generation, and hates his parents. Mizuki sighed. He looked at Kakashi again and said, Kakashi, let alone Naruto, do you really not doubt your father's death? Obviously, third generation can stop the villagers from accusing your father with just one word. Why doesn't he do that? Kakashi frowned and said, stop talking. Mizuki didn't hold his tongue, but continued, high-level missions are obviously confidential. Why do ordinary villagers know so clearly that your father's mission failed? Shut up. Kakashi roared directly. Mizuki continued. It was the time when the fourth Hokage was elected. The third Hokage was afraid that your father would become the fourth Hokage. Not only your father, Orochimaru was also driven out of the village by the third generation. Jiraiya and Tsunade were also forced to travel. After all, if they become the Hokage, third generation will be completely out of power. So, in the end, Namikaze Minato became the fourth generation, and the rights of the village are still in the hands of the third generation. Who is Namikaze Minato the youngest, the least capable and the least capable? Mizuki. Kakashi stared at Mizuki with a ferocious expression and eyes that were about to burst. Mizuki smiled and said, it seems that you have guessed it a long time ago, but you have always been unwilling to accept the reality, haha. Mizuki's words ruthlessly revealed Kakashi's last scar. Mizuki is actually very reluctant to say this. Kakashi is a poor man. His father is dead, his teacher and his wife are dead, and his teammates are also dead. He was left alone in the world. If it weren't for Might Guy, he would have turned dark long ago. But he is such a person, very gentle, very careful and considerate of others. He was bruised, but he was still gentle to those around him. People like this shouldn't be hurt anymore. But Mizuki still explained what he said. Although these words hurt Kakashi a lot, Mizuki still said it. Because blindly escaping will only make the injury worse. Only by facing oneself squarely and recognizing the reality can we break away from the sadness, walk out of the shadow of past suffering, and live a new self. Spending the whole day diverting attention with pornographic books like Intimate Love in Heaven is a negative sign of being irresponsible to oneself. Looking at Naruto and Kakashi, whose expressions changed greatly after Mizuki said a few words, little Sakura and Sasuke on the side were already stunned. At the same time, they also obtained a lot of information from the conversation. At this moment, Mizuki's eyes shifted to Sasuke. Sasuke, why do you want to become stronger? The sudden question made Sasuke stunned for a moment, but then his expression changed and he looked at Naruto and then at Kakashi. These two are over and now it's my turn. I'm not like Kakashi and Naruto. I have a clear background and clear enemies. Advertisement. I'm going to kill that man and take revenge. Mizuki shook his head and said, if I told you that your real enemy is not Uchiha Itachi at all, would you believe it? An understatement made Sasuke explode instantly. You fart. Defense broken. He even scolded him directly. Sharingan was turned on directly, the double Magatama spinning rapidly in the eyes, and the cold chakra made the temperature of the room drop a lot. Mizuki looked at him calmly, his eyes full of pity. Poor kid, you have been acted by your brother all this time. No, it's impossible, I saw it with my own eyes. It's him, it's him, it's him. Mizuki shook his head and said, yes, Uchiha Itachi, your brother, killed your clan, killed your parents, but left you alone. But you don't know that the reason why he exterminated the clan was because he was threatened and instigated by Danzo. The reason why you are still alive is because your brother is the person who loves you most in the world. Sasuke shook his head and shouted wildly, impossible. Absolutely impossible. Not only Sasuke, but Kakashi also stared with disbelief. Mizuki turned his head and said to Dazuna, Mr. Dazuna, what happens next is a top secret of Konoha village. It is not suitable for you to know. Ming, understand. Dazuna hurriedly called his daughter and grandson to go out and go far away. Knowing too much can kill people. It's a long story about Uchiha's genocide. I'll just say it briefly. During the Nine Tails Rebellion 12 years ago, Sharingan Magatama shapes appeared in the eyes of the Nine Tails Demon Fox. Konoha senior officials suspected that Nine Tails was controlled by people from the Uchiha clan. Although the senior officials could not provide evidence, when they rebuilt the village afterwards, the senior officials deliberately moved the Uchiha clan's residence from the center of Konoha to the edge, which is now the Uchiha clan's territory. Uchiha was squeezed out by the top management, and the villagers were not friendly to Uchiha. The Uchiha clan was a proud clan, and was unwilling to be marginalized like this, so they decided to launch a coup to overthrow the top leadership headed by the third generation. And among Uchiha, there are two geniuses, Uchiha Shisui, and Uchiha Itachi. They can't bear to have a war between Uchiha and Konoha, because that means the village will suffer huge damage. So, they are going back and forth between the senior management and Uchiha, hoping to resolve the conflict between the two parties. Unfortunately, third generation has long made up its mind to eradicate Uchiha, a factor of instability. So, with third generation's tacit approval, Danzo took action. Danzo snatched Uchiha Shisui's right eye. Uchiha Shisui knew that he could not change the fate of the Uchiha clan, so he committed suicide by throwing himself into the Nanga River in front of Uchiha Itachi. Before Shisui died, he gave his left eye to Itachi. Itachi watched his friend die with his own eyes and opened the Mangekyo Sharingan. Immediately afterwards, Danzo forced Uchiha Itachi and forced him to massacre members of the Uchiha clan. At this point, Mizuki paused and glanced at Sasuke. At this time, Sasuke's face was ferocious, and the Magatama in his eyes moved faster. He could obviously refuse, why didn't he refuse? Sasuke asked hoarsely. Mizuki. Because, Danzo is threatening your life. If Itachi doesn't take action, the village will take action, and then the entire Uchiha clan will die. And if Itachi agrees to take action, then his brother can survive. Boom. Powerful mental fluctuations suddenly emanated from Sasuke. The double Magatama that was rotating rapidly in his eyes suddenly changed position, and a new Magatama appeared. Chapter 55. Eternal Mangekyo. What you said about the Uchiha genocide has no basis at all. Kakashi frowned and said. I was working in Anbu at the time. Why did I never hear about these things or even notice them? Mizuki didn't explain. The storage ring in his hand flashed slightly, and an object appeared and he threw it to the ground. Everyone looked at the object on the ground, and little Sakura asked doubtfully, is this a broken arm? Although it was covered with bandages, the shapes of the arms and palms were clearly distinguishable. Mizuki looked at Kakashi and asked, whose severed arm is this? Does it look familiar to you? Kakashi said. If you guessed correctly, it's Danzo's right arm. Yes, it's Danzo's right arm. I'll take off the bandage, and then you'll know whether my words have any basis for it. The kunai passed by, the bandage was cut, and Danzo's right arm revealed its true form. 11 Sharingans were embedded in the pale skin, which made little Sakura's scalp tingle. She covered her mouth, afraid that she would scream. Naruto's attention was also diverted and he stared blankly at his arms on the ground. Kakashi's expression was even more horrified, his lips moved slightly, but he didn't know what to say. Even Mizuki was extremely moved. The one who had the biggest reaction was Sasuke. At this time, his eyes were blood red, his body was shaking, and his anger had almost turned into substance. Kill Danzo. Kill the third generation. Kill everyone in Konoha. Sasuke was already going crazy, but the next moment, he fell to the ground with a plop. Comatose. Sasuke-kun. Little Sakura exclaimed. Mizuki frowned, looking at Sasuke as if he was mentally damaged. Just now, little Sakura said that Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame have been here. Mizuki thinks that it is possible that Sasuke was educated by Itachi using Tsukuyomi, which is why he is so depressed. My stupid brother. Ahem. Anyway, Kakashi, I'm going to take Naruto and Sasuke away and never let them stay in Konoha. I hope you won't stop me. Of course, you can't stand still now, so you can't stop me. Of course, you can come with me if you want. Kakashi looked ugly. As an adult, it is difficult to change your thinking. Kakashi had long known the cause of his father's death, but he had stayed in Konoha and had no intention of rebelling. All we can say is that third generation's brainwashing was very successful. Mizuki couldn't instigate him to rebel with just a few words. Although there is darkness in Konoha, it cannot be denied that Konoha is bright and peaceful on the surface, and the villagers of Konoha are also living a good life. I will not defect. Now I just want to protect the villagers and the village. Let him go in the past. Sasuke has a genocide feud with the village, and I have no right to keep him. However, Naruto, as a Jinchuriki, is an important asset of the village, and I will never allow you to take him away. The next moment, he opened his left eye forehead protector, revealing Sharingan, looking ready to fight. Mizuki just watched, not even bothering to do anything. Sure enough, in less than a second, Kakashi threw himself onto the street and fell to the ground with a thump, following in Sasuke's footsteps. Master Mizuki, I'm coming with you, Naruto said with firm eyes. Little Sakura held the unconscious Sasuke, struggling to look at Sasuke's face. Finally, she gritted her teeth, raised her head and said, Master Mizuki, I'll go with you too. Mizuki shook his head and said, what will happen to your parents if you leave? Advertisement. They worked so hard to raise you, and you just walk away like this. Little Sakura shed tears and choked up. I'm sorry for them, but I want to follow Sasuke-kun more. I don't want to become Sasuke-kun's enemy. Sasuke already had a desire for revenge against Konoha. Little Sakura knows that if she returns to Konoha, she will become Sasuke's enemy from now on, and will fight to the death when we meet again. But she likes Sasuke. For the person she loves, what do her parents and the village matter? Mizuki still shook his head. I'm sorry, I won't take you away. Your parents are in Konoha, and there is still a bond between you and Konoha. If you follow us, our whereabouts will be exposed sooner or later. Little Sakura said loudly. No, I won't. Mizuki asked. If Konoha threatens your parents' lives and asks you to pass on information, do you dare to refuse? Little Sakura was speechless. No matter how little Sakura answers, Mizuki will not take her away. If she dared to answer, she would be an unfilial person who didn't even care about her parents' lives. Mizuki would not dare to stay with such a heartless and unjust person. If she answered that she didn't dare, then she would be a future spy. Mizuki would not dare to keep such a person. Naruto, carry Sasuke on your back, we're leaving immediately. Little Sakura was anxious and hugged Sasuke tightly, not wanting to let go. In the next moment, Mizuki was behind Sakura and knocked her out with a knife. Naruto carried Sasuke on his back and said nothing. He has been completely silent since just now. Mizuki glanced at little Sakura who fainted on the ground and sighed. He picked up Danzo's right hand from the ground, dug out a 3-tomo Sharingan, put it in a potion bottle, and placed it in little Sakura's hand. Little Sakura has her last chance to be rewarded this month, so she can't waste it. As for whether this Sharingan is useful to little Sakura or what kind of trouble it will bring to little Sakura, Mizuki doesn't care at all. After this, our relationship as master and disciple is over. Little Sakura's qualifications are not bad, and the return multiple is not low, sometimes even 10,000 times. But there is no way, Mizuki can't take her away, lest it cause all kinds of trouble later. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Host grants disciple Haruno Sakura a 3-tomo Sharingan in the left eye, which triggers a 1,000-fold return. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, for obtaining the left eye eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Close black lens bracket. Before the system finished speaking, Mizuki felt a swelling pain in his left eye, which forced him to cover his eye socket with his hand to relieve the discomfort. This discomfort soon passed. When he put down his hand and opened his left eye again, the original single black pupil had changed. The blood-colored background and black lines form a simple yet symmetrical and exquisite pattern. The outer circle is a 6-pointed star made of black lines, and the inner circle is 6 lines forming a clockwise vortex, which seems to lead to a bottomless abyss. This feels really good. Thanks to Danzo for the gift, thank you. I wish Lao Tai a different bride every day, a groom every night, and a different mother-in-law every day. At this time, Mizuki had already noticed that there were 2 pupil techniques in this eye. One of course is Susanoo. One-eyed Mangekyo can also activate Susanoo, such as Uchiha Shisui. As for why Obito and Kakashi can't do it, we can only say that Obito's talent is too low and Kakashi doesn't have Uchiha blood. Of course it can't be compared to a genius like Shisui who has Uchiha blood and is highly talented. Although Mizuki does not have the Uchiha bloodline, the things returned by the system do not need bloodline to fit them at all. Moreover, he is the eternal Mangekyo, which is higher than the ordinary Mangekyo. Therefore, it is very easy to open a Susanoo. Of course, it can only be opened to the 4th stage at most, and it is impossible to open the whole thing. Susanoo, in multiple stages. The first stage, partial state, such as just one arm. Advertisement. The second stage, half skeleton state. The third stage, half body flesh and blood state. The fourth stage, half armor state. The fifth stage, full body armor state. In this state, the caster will be located between Susanoo's eyebrows. Stage 6, complete body, with wings growing from its back and the ability to fly. There are also Senjutsu Suzuo, Majestic Suzuo, etc. at the back. It's already good that Mizuki can reach the 4th stage. After all, there is only one eye, and the pupil power is only half. But this is not a problem for Mizuki. Sasuke has another chance to give back this month. Give him a right eye, and I can get the eternal Mangekyo with both eyes. In addition to Susanoo, there is also a pupil in the left eye. However, Mizuki doesn't know what this pupil technique is yet, and he will have to do further research to understand it. The things in Konoha are over, it's time to find a new place to stay. As soon as he walked out of Dazuna's house, Mizuki saw an unexpected person standing outside. He has a burly figure, snow-white hair, iconic flip-flops, and an alternative forehead protector with the word, oil, written on his forehead. Mount Myoboku Toad Sage Jiraiya appears now. Beside Jiraiya is Konohamaru, who is unconscious. Before Mizuki entered the house, he put Konohamaru on a small boat and planned to take it with him when he left, but now it was in Jiraiya's hands. Mizuki frowned. Jiraiya was actually here, and there were signs of battle on his body. Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame came but didn't take Naruto away. It was obviously not Kakashi's fault. In this case, Jiraiya and the 2 members of the Akatsuki organization must have fought. I recognize you, Shunin Mizuki. Jiraiya stared at Mizuki, his eyes full of hostility. It seems that you became a rebel nin. Not only did you capture the old man's grandson, but you also wanted to take away Naruto and Sasuke. As Jiraiya, one of the Sannin of Konoha, I will never allow this to happen. Ninja technique. Dance of random lion hair. Jiraiya's hair grew wildly, and he was wrapped around Mizuki from all directions. Mizuki reached out and grabbed Naruto's shoulders, and the next moment he transformed, the target of his replacement was Jiraiya. The 2 sides exchanged positions instantly. This is. Jiraiya was shocked when he found himself at the spot where Mizuki was standing just now. At the same time, the dance of wild lion hair also lost its target. Mizuki grabbed Konohamaru with his other hand, transformed again, and took the 3 imps directly to 100 meters away. Then he flew up, flying towards the west at the fastest speed. Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame may also be nearby, so there is no need to get involved. Leaving early is the best option. It would be terrible if Itachi came and found out that Sasuke had defected and just gave Sasuke a guardian of Konoha. Jiraiya didn't give up and immediately chased after him. One was flying in the sky and the other was chasing on the ground. In terms of speed, Jiraiya actually had the upper hand. Mizuki was carrying 3 people, and the burden was too heavy, causing the flight speed to drop significantly, to 100 km per hour at most. This speed was simply not as fast as Jiraiya's body flicker technique. No, if this continues, we will be caught sooner or later. Mizuki glanced at the Konohamaru in his hand and could only sigh. The next moment, his hand loosened and Konohamaru fell downwards. Jiraiya hurriedly caught Konohamaru from below, and then continued chasing with Konohamaru. But the situation has changed. Without Konohamaru, Mizuki's flying speed immediately increased greatly. And Jiraiya has to take Konohamaru with him, so his speed is greatly reduced. As a result, Mizuki's speed surpassed that of Jiraiya, and he quickly opened up a distance. After chasing for another 3 minutes, Jiraiya couldn't see Mizuki at all. Chapter 56. The boss is ambitious. After my left eye became Eternal Mangekyo, my chakra amount increased. Originally it was 14.5 calories, but now it has reached 24.5 calories, which is a direct increase of 10 calories. Flying away from the Kingdom of Waves and arriving at the Kingdom of Fire, Mizuki fell from the sky to the ground. Mainly, it will be difficult to breathe during high-speed flight. Mizuki and Naruto didn't care, but Sasuke was still in a coma, relying only on instinctive breathing to survive. After landing, Mizuki carried Sasuke on his back and Naruto followed behind, heading straight west. Naruto's mood was very low. Naruto, the past is in the past, the days in the future are still long, just look at it. Mizuki comforted. Naruto forced a smile and pretended not to care. Well, I'm not that narrow-minded. I've already looked away. Mizuki shook his head. Naruto is like this, seemingly careless, but actually thoughtful. Neji, Gaara, Nagato, Obito, he saw through the softest parts of their hearts, and then they were defeated by Beden's words. He always hides unhappy things in his heart, and always shows it to others as if he doesn't care about anything. In fact, he has always been carrying a heavy burden forward. Master, can you tell me about my father and mother? Naruto's tone was both expectant and a little scared. Mizuki nodded. Let's start with the Kingdom of Whirlpool. The country of Uzumaki Village, is a village founded by the Uzumaki clan. The Uzumaki clan all have red hair. They are good at sealing techniques, and they are naturally powerful and have a lot of chakra. Naruto touched his hair, probably wondering, his last name was Uzumaki, but why didn't he have red hair? The first Hokage's wife, Uzumaki Mito, is the first Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. After the Second Ninja War, Uzumaki Mito became old. The village leaders urgently needed to select a new Jinchuriki as the container to seal Nine Tails. Naruto's breath hitched as he realized something. But he didn't speak and continued to listen to Mizuki. The Uzumaki clan has a strong physique and a lot of chakra, so they are the most suitable for sealing tailed beasts. So, the young Uzumaki Kushina was chosen and came to Konoha from Uzushio village. She will become the new Nine Tails Jinchuriki. After attending ninja school, she was nicknamed Red Chili Pepper because of her red hair. In Mizuki's narration, Naruto gradually understood his parents. In my mind, the image of my parents gradually became clear. Mizuki slowly told the story, talking about the Night of Nine Tails, about how Mizuki and Kushina both went to die, and about Kushina's instructions before her death. Naruto, don't be picky about food, eat more, grow up quickly, remember to bathe on time every day, take a bath to warm up, don't stay up late, make sure you sleep, and remember to make friends. You don't have to have many friends, there are a few that are really worth it, a trusted friend is enough. At this time, Naruto's eyes had already burst. Mizuki sighed. Your mother told you to make friends, but unfortunately, third generation even deprived you of the right to make friends. He told the villagers that you were the son of a demon fox, so that no one wanted to be friends with you, or even dared to leave with you. Too close. You're 12 years old, and you haven't made a single friend yet. Living in Konoha, all your memories are lonely, cold, and desolate. I'm afraid I don't have any other good memories except Ichiraku Ramen. Naruto's choked voice continued, but Mizuki could feel the anger emanating from Naruto. The last thoughts of the third generation in Naruto's heart were wiped away, leaving no trace of nostalgia for Konoha. Naruto stopped talking, just feeling sad. Mizuki also calmed down and began to study the left eye technique. Sasuke, who was on his back, slowly woke up, looking dull and not saying a word. The truth about Uchiha's genocide was a huge blow to him. When he thought of the pain Itachi had endured, he wanted to roar to the sky and vent his anger like crazy. Suddenly, he asked, how can I become stronger as quickly as possible? He could no longer suppress the murderous intention in his heart towards Konoha. Advertisement. Mizuki said. Don't worry, if you follow me, you will become stronger very quickly. It won't be long before you can stand alone. He took out Liushan toilet water. You are severely mentally damaged and this stuff will help you. He is tired from carrying it all the time. He opened the bottle of toilet water, put it under Sasuke's nose and let him take a sip. The next moment, Sasuke realized the magic of Liushan toilet water. Although it only lasted 10 seconds, after 10 seconds, the increased mental power did not completely dissipate, but the lost mental power of Sasuke was fully replenished. This thing, in addition to being used for amplification during combat, can also be used for recovery, and the effect is amazing. It's almost the end of the month, and Sasuke still has a chance to return it, so we can't waste it. This month, Mizuki granted Sasuke the ability to identify locations by listening to sounds, and the second was Rasengan, but there was still one chance that didn't work. For convenience in the future, monthly returns will be calculated based on natural months. At the beginning of each month, the return opportunities will be refreshed. What do you want to give as a last chance gift? Of course it's a Sharingan. The left eye is already Eternal Mangekyo, and the right eye needs to be more or less Rinnegan. He pulled out a right eye Sharingan from Danzo's hand, put it in a potion bottle, and handed it to Sasuke. Keep this thing, you may need it later. Sasuke was confused and asked, what's the use of this? Mizuki explained. The Uchiha clan has a forbidden technique called Izanagi. It is a technique that can change reality. After it is activated, even if someone kills someone, the outcome of death can be changed. The price of this technique is that a Sharingan will be permanently blind. Danzo transplanted so many Sharingans just to save his life. Sasuke gritted his teeth at the mention of Danzo. Mizuki didn't tell him that Danzo had been killed by him, so it was better not to tell him for now. Sasuke didn't want the Sharingan, but Mizuki forced it into his hand. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Host grants disciple Uchiha Sasuke a 3-tomo Sharingan in the right eye, triggering a 6,666 times return. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you got the right-eyed Rinnegan. Close black lens bracket. Ha ha ha, it's really here. Mizuki's right eye began to swell and ache violently, which was more obvious than before after receiving Eternal Mangekyo. When the discomfort disappeared, his right eye had turned into circles. I forgot. Sharingan can be put away, but Rinnegan cannot. With a Rinnegan on his head, it's too conspicuous. Host does not need to worry, this Rinnegan is returned by the system and is completely controlled by the host. It can be turned off when not in use. Close black lens bracket. Mizuki was overjoyed and hurriedly shut down Rinnegan. Sasuke and Naruto had been behind Mizuki, so they didn't notice the change in Mizuki's eyes just now. After his right eye became a Rinnegan, Mizuki's chakra amount skyrocketed again. From 24.5 calories, it increased directly to 54.5 calories. That's a total increase of 30 calories. Good guy, this increase is too terrifying. Now, you no longer have to worry about not having enough chakra. Once again, thank you to Boss Danzo for the gift. The boss is awesome. The three of them moved quickly towards the west. Mizuki deliberately bypassed the direction of Konoha village and spent 3 days reaching the west of the Land of Fire and the border with the Land of Rain. Following the pre-arranged marks, it didn't take long to find Nobita, Shin and Sai. The team grew and became 6 people. We are going to pass through the country of rain and reach the country of birds further west, where we will establish a new ninja village. Advertisement. The country of birds is like spring all year round, with mountains and rivers everywhere, green trees, and flocks of birds. The people live a stable and peaceful life. It is a small country that has nothing to contend with. Moreover, there are no ninja villages in the kingdom of birds, and even ninjas are rare. It is very suitable to establish a small shinobi village there. After the ninja village was established, Mizuki became the village chief, and then directly appointed Sasuke, Naruto, and Nobita as chunin. With the presence of chunin apprentices, the system's quota limit for accepting apprentices will be lifted, allowing more apprentices to be accepted. The more apprentices you have, the more opportunities you will receive and the faster your strength will improve. It won't be long before I become invincible in the ninja world. I want to build the strongest ninja village, and I want to unify the ninja world. Mizuki's heart is full of ambition. Originally, if he had continued to stay in Konoha, he would have had no ambitions. But since you have rebelled, you can't continue to mess around. No matter what, you have to do something earth-shattering. A man was born in troubled times and does nothing. How is he different from Kuchiki? Then master, what should the new ninja village be called? Bird Ninja Village, Naruto asked. After these few days, Naruto has recovered from the pain and started to become active again. All I can say is, I have such a big heart. Tori Ninja Village. Then why don't you become the village chief, and then, like the 5 major ninja villages, be named after Kage, Tori Kage? Mizuki rolled his eyes. What a bad name. Like his father, he is also a bad namer. Just call it Han Ninja Village. Han. Naruto was confused and asked, does it have any special meaning? Mizuki nodded but did not explain. The Kingdom of Birds is to the west of the Kingdom of Rain, and the Kingdom of Rain hides the Akatsuki organization, so there might be trouble if you just walk through it without hesitation. So Mizuki took 5 teenagers on a detour from the desert of the Land of Wind in the south. After a few days, they successfully arrived in the Land of Birds. The next step was to meet the Tori daimyo and propose the establishment of a shinobi village. I remember that in the anime, there was also a plot in the Land of Birds. Mizuki recalled. The previous great name of the bird kingdom was called Great Heron. After the death of Da Lu, the eldest son Lu wanted to become the new daimyo with the support of the eminent monk Meng Zong, but was assassinated by Meng Zong. After Heron's death, his twin sister Toki took over as daimyo and wanted to uncover the murderer of his father and brother. In other words, the current daimyo of Tori country is actually a woman disguised as a man. Things became simple. Mizuki used the power of thunder to uncover Meng Zong and his accomplices, using this as a vote for the daimyo of Tori country, and then proposed to establish a new ninja village. Mizuki-sama, I cannot agree to this request. Daimyo Toki refused immediately. The Kingdom of Birds is a small country with financial constraints, and the people have no money. Building a ninja village requires a lot of money, and I can't afford it. Mizuki looked at the young female daimyo with a half smile. He already knew the other party's concerns. There is no need for the daimyo to contribute money. I have money. The daimyo only needs to give me a piece of land and some people to help with the construction. The daimyo still hesitated. But, Mizuki said, the daimyo is worried about our status. We are all rebel ninjas in Konoha village. The daimyo must be worried about the Fire Nation being blamed, right? The daimyo didn't expect Mizuki to speak so directly, so he nodded. Yes, the Kingdom of Birds is just a small country. Whether it is economy or military, it is far inferior to the Kingdom of Fire. Mizuki smiled and said, don't worry, daimyo-sama, there is a rain country between the fire country and the bird country. Even if the fire country blames it, it will only be verbal at most, and the army cannot defeat it. Quote. Besides, as long as there is no publicity, who will know that it was the rebellious ninja of Konoha who established the ninja village in the Kingdom of Birds? Although Mizuki had a smile on his face, he was actually getting impatient inside. If this female daimyo continues not to agree, he will take some unusual measures. With the blessing of the eternal Mangekyo, it shouldn't be difficult to control a great Ming with illusions. Chapter 57. Konoha Collapse Plan begins. Toki is young and cannot see Mizuki's emotional changes. But the minister Hong Ming on the side had already noticed something was wrong. He hurriedly said, Lord Daimyo, I think Lord Mizuki is right. As long as there is no publicity, no one will know that the Kingdom of Birds has established a ninja village. The Kingdom of Fire and Konoha will naturally not come here to cause trouble. Moreover, the Kingdom of Birds has its own ninja village, so we don't have to worry about the invasion of wandering ninjas in the future. This is a great good thing for the Kingdom of Birds. Citizens can also go to the new ninja village to issue mission requests, so they no longer have to rely on other countries. The most important thing is that children in the country can enter the ninja village to learn ninjutsu and strengthen the country's strength. So no matter which aspect you look at, establishing a new village is a matter of great benefit and no harm. Hong Ming said while gesturing towards the daimyo with his eyes. The daimyo understood what Hong Ming meant and could only agree to Mizuki's request. Mizuki-sama, I wonder what the new ninja village is called. Mizuki pondered for a moment. I originally planned to name it Han Ninja Village, but after thinking about it, I felt it was inappropriate. How can a small ninja village afford the name Han, let alone Chinese, and Yanwang? Since it is a country of birds, let's give it a name related to birds. Birds are birds, and birds are like phoenixes. Let's call it Fenghuang Village, and the village chief's title will be Fengying. Naruto and I are both rebel ninjas. We established a new ninja village here and started a new ninja career, which corresponds to the phoenix's rebirth from the ashes. The past is ashes, the future is brand new. Thus, the name of the new ninja village was decided. Phoenix Village. Mizuki is the first village chief, named Fengying. Of course, this is a self-titled title that has not been recognized by the outside world, but it doesn't matter, sooner or later the name of Hokage will be heard throughout the ninja world. Later, Minister Hongming took out a map of Tori country and asked Mizuki to choose a place. The country of birds is sandwiched between the four countries. To the east is the kingdom of rain, to the south is the kingdom of wind, to the west is the kingdom of stars, and to the north is the kingdom of earth. Mizuki chose a wilderness area covering hundreds of square kilometers close to the Star Kingdom. This is 50 million taels. I hope the daimyo will support the establishment of the ninja village. I have only one request, that it be built as soon as possible. If you don't have enough money, just ask me. Phoenix Village started construction, but not at a fast pace. After all, there were no senior architects like Yamato to support the project. Mizuki took Naruto and the others to live in Minister Beneme's house. After all, the construction of the new ninja village had just begun. Several kiddos practice every day, especially Sasuke. Except for eating, sleeping and going to the toilet, he spends almost all his time practicing. Eager for revenge, Mizuki, on the other hand, is also familiar with the abilities of Sharingan and Rinnegan. Time flies so fast, and this month has passed in the blink of an eye. The system provides 3 return opportunities per person per month, which has been refreshed. On the first day of the month, Mizuki called Naruto and the others together and started handing out money. One person gave 100,000 taels. Take this money, it is your pocket money this month. Naruto and Nobita's eyes immediately lit up. Wow, master, you are too rich. Naruto sighed. Nobita has lived in an orphanage since he was a child. He has never seen so much money, and he can't help but swallow his saliva at this moment. The other 3 people had no special reaction. Sasuke received a lot of inheritance and was not short of money. 100,000 taels was nothing. Shin and Sai, who were trained by Danzo, are not familiar with the world and do not have a strong concept of money. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Host awards disciple Uzumaki Naruto 100,000 taels of money, triggering a 5,000 times return. Close black lens bracket. Host awards 100,000 taels of money to his disciple Uchiha Sasuke, triggering a 5,500 times return. Close black lens bracket. Host awards disciple Nobita 100,000 taels of money, triggering a 500-fold return. Close black lens bracket. Advertisement. Host received a monetary refund, totaling 1.1 billion taels. Close black lens bracket. Note that because the amount is too large, the storage ring cannot fit in it, and the remaining money has been placed in the bedroom of the host's current residence. Close black lens bracket. Mizuki frowned. The capacity of this storage ring on my hand is not enough. 1 cubic meter may seem quite large, but it really can't hold much. Even if it is filled with water, it only weighs 2,000 kilograms, which is not enough for several baths. We need to speed up the construction of Phoenix Village. After giving away the money, it wasn't enough, so Mizuki took out the soldiers, food pills, 1 for each person. If you encounter a battle and the chakra is exhausted, you can eat this. It can quickly restore the chakra and keep you full. Mizuki's current total chakra amount has reached 54.5 Kakashi, so he can freely use ninjutsu. However, chakra's recovery speed is a bit slow. It recovers 0.3 calories per minute, which is a bit slow. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Host grants disciple Dashong Bingliang pill, which triggers a 666-fold return. Close black lens bracket. Host gets a special soldier food pill, and after eating it, 1 card of chakra is restored. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Host grants disciple Uchiha Sasuke a military food pill, triggering 8,888 times return. Close black lens bracket. Host obtains a super high-grade military food pill, which restores 30 calories of chakra after eating it, and permanently increases the chakra recovery speed by 0.9 calories per minute. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Host grants disciple Uzumaki Naruto a soldier food pill, triggering a 9,999 times return. Close black lens bracket. Host gets an ultimate soldier food pill, which restores 50 calories of chakra after eating it, permanently increasing the chakra recovery speed by 1.5 calories per minute. Close black lens bracket. Nobita's qualifications are still poor, only 666 times, and the special military food pills returned don't even have permanent buff. But Sasuke and Naruto did not let Mizuki down. After taking these 2 soldier food pills, my chakra recovery speed will reach 2.5 calories per minute. It's super fast. If Kakashi knew, he would be jealous to death. 3 people, a total of 9 return opportunities this month, and Mizuki used them 6 times on the first day. Each person had 1 left, so Mizuki was in no hurry to give anything more. He took 200 million money and sent it to Daming Mansion. Mizuki-sama, the previous 50 million taels have not been used up, and there is no shortage of money now. The daimyo said. Mizuki waved his hand and said, please ask the daimyo to recruit more workers and speed up the construction of the ninja village. I have more money, so I don't have to worry about not being able to pay wages. The sooner the ninja village is built, the sooner he can become Hokage. Once you become a Kage, you can directly appoint Sasuke, Naruto, and Nobita as Chunin, or even Jonin. As the apprentices' ninja level increases, the number of apprentices available will increase. The 5 apprenticeship quotas are simply not enough. Don't worry, Mizuki-sama, I will urge the construction of ninja village. After the daimyo finished speaking, he added, the daimyo of the Fire Country sent an invitation. The Chunin exam finals will be held in Konoha village in half a month, and I was invited to watch the competition. Mizuki-sama, do you think I should go to watch the match? Mizuki said. This is a matter for the daimyo to decide on his own. Don't worry about what I think. I established the ninja village just to find a place to live, not to control the bird country. The daimyo said again. Then I won't go. Mizuki was noncommittal. This female daimyo may have made her decision a long time ago, and now that she is asking, she is clearly trying to test Mizuki's attitude. She was not at ease with Mizuki. Mizuki doesn't care what others think, just don't take the initiative to cause trouble. The Konoha Chunin exam finals are only half a month away, and Orochimaru's plan to collapse Konoha is about to begin. He squinted his eyes, a cold light flashing in his eyes. Orochimaru, don't blame me for stealing people's heads. Advertisement. 3rd generation, it's better to die in my hands. More than 10 days later, Mizuki left the country of birds and headed to Konoha village, the country of fire. Naruto and the others stayed in the bird country. I was going to cause trouble this time, so I couldn't do it with Genin as a burden. When they arrived in Konoha, it was the morning of the Chunin exam finals. Using the transformation technique, he changed his appearance at will and walked into the gate of Konoha with a swagger. Azumo and Zatai, the gatekeepers, turned a blind eye to him. In this way, Mizuki successfully entered Konoha village and arrived at the Chunin exam final venue. The finals have just begun. The first battle, Hyuga Neji versus Inuzuka Kiba. Without Naruto's shit, Yaw successfully sneaked into the finals. Of course, facing Neji, Yaw could only be beaten and had no power to fight back. Hey, Neji's revolving heaven is different from the original one. Why does it look so much like Tai Chi? Mizuki was very surprised in the stands. Not only him, but everyone in the Hyuga family was also extremely surprised. Hyuga Haishi, the head of the Hyuga clan, sighed. Neji's talent is great, but unfortunately, he is a branch house. Without Naruto's words, Neji's hatred for the Zong family could not be relieved. Next, battles continued. In the second game, Temari fought against Shikamaru, and Shikamaru outsmarted him. In the third game, Kankuro fought against Aburame Shino, but Kankuro abstained. In the last game, Rock Lee fought against Gaara, but only reached half of the fight. The feathers fell, and the judges in the stands fell into sleep. The plan to collapse Konoha has finally begun. What confused Mizuki was that it wasn't Orochimaru and 3rd generation 1-on-1 on the roof. Instead, Orochimaru teamed up with the 4th Kazekage, 2 against 1, to bully the 3rd generation, an old, weak, and disabled person. Orochimaru didn't kill 4th Kazekage in advance. It seems that the butterfly effect occurred because of me. Mizuki transformed into Konoha Anbu, came to the roof, and stood outside the 4 purple flame formation to fight. Don't rush to take action, let's enjoy the cage level battle first. On the rooftop, 3rd generation fought 1 against 2, back and forth, never falling behind. Finally, Orochimaru couldn't stand it anymore. He bit his finger and slapped it on the ground. Summoning technique, Impure World Reincarnation. 2 coffins were raised from the ground. The lid of one coffin had, Chu, written on it, and the lid of the other coffin had, Tu, written on it. Unlike the original, there is no 3rd coffin. The lid of the coffin opens, and first Hokage Senju Hashirama, and second Hokage Senju Tobirama, step out of it. The 3rd generation looked at Orochimaru and said sadly, Orochimaru, you have fallen so far, blaspheming the souls of our ancestors and disturbing their rest. 2nd generation looked at his arm and said, this is my invention of the reanimation jutsu. Who is so wicked as to use it on me? 1st generation sighed. Monkey, I didn't expect to see you again in this way. Orochimaru walked up behind the 1st generation and 2nd generation and inserted the kunai with runes on it into them. That's it for reminiscing about old times, Mr. Sarutobi. Next, how will you deal with the attacks of these 2 ancestors of Hokage? With a smile on his face, he seemed to have seen the scene where the 3rd generation was beaten and then killed by his own hands. 3rd generation sighed, then bit his finger and quickly formed a seal. Summoning technique, Impure World Reincarnation. As soon as he finished speaking, a coffin appeared in front of 3rd generation. Orochimaru stared blankly for a second, then smiled, stuck out his tongue and washed his face. He, Mr. Sarutobi, you said I desecrated the souls of my ancestors, what are you doing now? 3rd generation said confidently. Shisui, he can't be regarded as my ancestor, and he was reincarnated into the impure world to protect Konoha. The coffin lid fell down, revealing within, Uchiha Shisui. Orochimaru's expression changed drastically, oops. Chapter 58. The anxious battle on the rooftop. Mizuki was also shocked. Wasn't Shisui's body found? Impure world reincarnation requires genetic information. Could it be that Shisui's body was found by the third generation and has been hidden all this time? Well, not necessarily. The last time I killed Danzo and dug his eyes out, his right eye was just an ordinary Sharingan, not Shisui's eye. It turns out that he was snatched away by third generation in advance. Third generation is also very clever. It costs one eye to get a Shisui. This business is a sure profit. But to be honest, it is really unethical for someone to be pulled out to work overtime after they have been dead for many years. The capitalists cried and fainted in the toilet after seeing it. On the roof, Orochimaru realized something was wrong the moment he saw Shisui. He immediately rushed behind second Hokage and used the second generation's burly figure to block himself from being exposed to Shisui's sight. Then, control second generation to perform ninjutsu. Illusion. Darkness technique. Darkness enveloped second generation, spreading out in all directions like pitch black satin. At the same time, Uchiha Shisui stepped out of the coffin in front of third generation, and in his eyes, a four-cornered windmill appeared. First Hokage Senju Hashirama's body paused, his wiped mind recovered instantly, and his eyes returned to clarity. The first generation jumped up and reached the third generation. Monkey, I didn't expect you to be so old. This tone of reminiscing meant that he was no longer an enemy. Distinguished heavenly gods, first generation's impure world reincarnation will has been modified. Third generation breathed a sigh of relief and said, decades have passed and I am about to die. The first generation turned around and looked around, seeing that the prosperous Konoha was being invaded, and sighed. Still not able to get the peace we want, thank you for all your hard work over the years. Third generation said, Shodai, now is not the time to reminisce about the past, let's deal with the enemy first. The Orochimaru opposite is my disciple, and the one next to him is the fourth Kazekage. First generation looked at the darkness that filled the air and complained. I told Tobirama to destroy his forbidden technique, but he just didn't listen. Now it's better. The impure world reincarnation has been used against Konoha. But by the way, this Uchiha boy's pupil technique is quite powerful, and he actually allowed me to escape from the control of impure world reincarnation. Do it again, bring Tobirama here too. Third generation smiled bitterly. Of course he wanted to, but he couldn't do it. The next moment, Shisui's body began to collapse, and dirt flew away from his body like confetti. Shisui's soul appeared, he turned his head and took a deep look at the third generation, then turned into a beam of light and ascended to the sky. Shisui, don't blame me, everything I do is for the village. In the end, only the body of a young child was left on the spot. The desperate eyes and painful expression all showed how unbearable the pain he had suffered during his lifetime was. Hashirama frowned when he saw this scene and turned to look at third generation. Monkey, you have gone too far. Third generation said nothing. In other words, I have no shame to speak. Outside the four purple flame formation, Mizuki narrowed his eyes, filled with killing intent. That young child is a member of the orphanage. Third generation left so many heinous criminals behind bars, but used an innocent orphan as a sacrifice for impure world reincarnation. 4 words to describe it: heartbroken and crazy. Unforgivable. At this time, Orochimaru looked ugly. The first Hokage had his will modified by the distinguished heavenly gods and escaped from his control. Advertisement now, on my side, besides myself, there's the second Hokage, and the loser fourth Kazekage. On the opposite side are first generation and third generation. Fortunately, third generation's impure world reincarnation is not perfect, otherwise Shisui would be in big trouble if he had to hold on for a little longer. Darkness has enveloped the entire four purple flame formation. The surrounding Anbu could no longer see clearly what was happening in the four purple flame formation. Except Mizuki. The dark technique is an illusion that blocks the enemy's vision, making it impossible for the enemy to see. The caster's teammates, however, are not affected. This kind of illusion that involves the 5 senses is not comparable to ordinary illusions. It is as difficult to understand as eye illusions. But this level of genjutsu has no effect on Mizuki now. Mizuki has the eternal Mangekyo in his left eye and the Rinnegan in his right eye. It can be said that he is no longer affected by most genjutsu. I'm afraid only infinite Tsukuyomi can influence him. Wood style. Unbutton your crotch, first generation has begun. With a clap of his hand, a large number of saplings broke through the roof tiles and grew wildly. Although invisible, it did not prevent first generation from covering the battlefield with wood style. On the opposite side, Orochimaru and second generation quickly dodged, and the sound of footsteps shocked third generation. Earth style. A great river of earth. Fire style. Fire dragon flame bullet. The third generation's ninjutsu was very accurate, and the fire enveloped Orochimaru and Tobirama. Second generation raised his hand and shouted, water style, water barrier. A large amount of water appeared out of thin air, forming a circular water barrier, protecting the 2 people within it. The fire dragon attacks the water barrier and is immediately extinguished. By creating such a large amount of water in a place where there is no water, second generation is worthy of being a person who signed a contract with the sea. Water style. Water severing wave. The laser-like high-pressure water line broke trees wherever it went. The sea of trees created by Hashirama turned into an area of deforestation in the blink of an eye. Water style. Great Falls technique. more than 10 meters high, like a tsunami, the water was rolling towards third generation. Hearing the sound of water, third generation reacted immediately. He quickly formed seals with his hands, then spat out mud on the ground. Earth style. Earth flow wall. A high wall was raised, successfully blocking the waterfall. Water style. Water dragon bomb. Second generation's attack did not stop. Here, first generation is also moving again. Wood style. The world of flowers and trees has arrived. The trees grew again, becoming forests in an instant, and flowers sprouted from the tops of the trees. The flowers bloomed rapidly, releasing large amounts of pollen. These pollens are poisonous and can cause coma in those who inhale them. In the sky, fourth Kasuke Rasa stood on a cloud made of placer gold and also took action. Wind style. Great Scythe Itachi. The wind style used by Kasuke is much stronger than Tamari. The violent wind blew by, blowing all the pollen towards the third generation. It is also the first generation that is limited by the impure world reincarnation and cannot show much strength. Otherwise, how can the mere ninjutsu of the fourth Kasuke be effective? Similarly, second generation's strength is also greatly limited. The two sides fell into a stalemate for a while. Third generation also has no plans to use the ghoul seal. After all, the first generation is on his side, and there is no such disparity in strength between the two sides, so there is no need to fight to the death. Who doesn't want to die? Advertisement outside the four purple flame formation. Mizuki's eyes lit up as he watched the two sides going back and forth, engaging in extremely gorgeous ninjutsu battles. Looking at myself, I haven't mastered many attribute ninjutsu at all. The two earth attribute ninjutsu are still very rubbish. I also want to throw around fire style, water style, wind style, and lightning style. He is envious. We should be fighting for a while here, why not go to the Hokage building for a walk? Not to mention the Book of Ceilings, it would also be good to get some ninjutsu scrolls. But I have to go to the ninja shop first. The storage ring I have is really not enough. Standing on the roof, Mizuki saw the ninja shop at a glance. Now the whole village is in chaos, people are rushing towards the shelter, and the ninja tool shop is naturally closed. Mizuki chose a stray dog in front of the ninja shop and activated his apparition. On the roof, several Anbu looked at the sudden appearance of the dog and were all stunned. Was there a person standing here just now? At this time, Mizuki has arrived at the entrance of the ninja tool shop. The shop has been closed and everyone in the shop has taken refuge. Mizuki broke into the door, looked for storage scrolls on the shelves, and found a few large capacity ones to take away. As for the other scrolls, Mizuki said there is no rush. Next, find little Sakura and Xiao Li and give them something. Little Sakura and Little Li were both at the finals, fighting against the enemy. Mizuki returned to the finals, transformed into Iruka, and first found Little Sakura. At this time, Little Sakura was dealing with a genin from San Shinobi village. Mizuki appeared and chopped San Shinobi to the ground with a hand knife. Sakura-chan, take these 3 storage scrolls, they will come in handy later. Little Sakura asked in confusion. Iruka-sensei, why are you here? The ninja school has started. Now there is a problem in the village. Shouldn't teacher Iruka organize the students to take refuge in the shelter? Mizuki urged. Stop talking nonsense, hold the things first, they will be useful later. Master Hokage had already expected that there would be an attack today, so he made arrangements. Little Sakura took the scroll without doubting his presence. Open black lens bracket ding. Close black lens bracket. Host grants disciple Haruno Sakura a 64-liter capacity storage scroll 3, triggering a 3,125 times return. Close black lens bracket. Congratulations to host, you have received a 200 cubic storage ring 3, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Haruno Sakura's 3 return opportunities this month have been exhausted, close black lens bracket. Mizuki's eyes lit up. 200 cubic meters of storage rings, and there are 3 of them, so you don't have to worry about these. Go to the Hokage building first. On the second floor of the Hokage building, the Ninjutsu scroll collection room is located here. Mizuki continued to bear Iruka's appearance and came here. The long corridor, the collection room is at the end of the corridor. Outside the door, 2 Anbu were guarding. Stop, leave this place immediately, otherwise you will be killed without mercy. Anbu saw Mizuki and immediately scolded him. Mizuki smiled faintly, his left eye changed, and the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan appeared. Magic. Naraku meets technique. With the blessing of Sharingan, Naraku technique's power increased exponentially. The 2 Anbu collapsed to the ground in panic, exhausted their mental energy. Passing by the 2 of them, Mizuki stretched out his hand and gently pushed the door open. The next moment, the smell of books came to my face. All you can see are scrolls, sent, chapter 59. Evacuate them all. Mizuki strode into the room, raised his hand slightly, and scrolls floated up from the wooden frame and flew towards him. Rinnegan, Universal Pull, Wind Style. Vacuum Sphere Scroll, Wind Style. Vacuum Wave Scroll, Wind Style. Gale Palm Scroll. Fire Style. Great Fireball Scroll, Fire Style. Great Flame Bullet Scroll. Earth Style, Lightning Style, Water Style, Medical Ninjutsu, Nara Family Secret Technique, Akamichi Family Secret Technique, Yamanaka Family, Aburame Family, Inazuka Family. Yuhi Clan Genjutsu. Uchiha Clan Genjutsu, Hachima clan Genjutsu, Konoha Goken, Hyuga clan Gentle Fist, Hayate clan Swordsmanship, Uchiha clan Swordsmanship, Uzumaki clan Sealing Technique. Here, all the ninjutsu, illusions, taijutsu, secret techniques, and sealing techniques of Konoha are collected. So vast, each scroll was put into the storage ring by Mizuki. No one will be refused, it still feels so good. Although Sharingan can copy ninjutsu, the prerequisite is that someone else uses ninjutsu first. Besides, how long will it take to copy one by one to reach Kakashi's level? Furthermore, Sharingan can only copy ordinary ninjutsu and taijutsu. These family secrets cannot be copied at all. The Nara family's shadow imitation technique, the Akamichi family's body doubling technique, the Inuzuka family's dog training technique. None of this can be replicated by Sharingan. Come here and get a pot of it, not to mention how enjoyable it is. HMPH, from today on, all the wealth in Konoha belongs to me. Soon, all the wooden shelves were emptied. Mizuki did not count them in detail, but he roughly estimated that the number of scrolls put away was at least tens of thousands. With these, he no longer has to worry about what to give to his apprentice. Then there's the last one left. Mizuki looked towards the center of the room. There is a half-man-high stone platform with a large scroll on it, which is the sealed book. Any one of the techniques in this scroll would be the best in the ninja world. He walked to the stone platform and reached out to grab the sealed book, but a barrier rose up, blocking his hand. Been under a sealing spell? Mizuki raised his eyebrows slightly. Just when he was about to take further steps to break the seal, there was a crisp sound of shoes hitting the ground behind him, followed by the sound of a door closing. Immediately, a bold voice sounded. Just stop it, Rebel Ninja Mizuki. You can't run away this time. Ninja technique. Random lion hair technique. The battle started as soon as Jiraiya appeared, with his hair exploding and wrapping around Mizuki. Danger loomed behind him. Mizuki's right eye suddenly changed, and Rinnegan opened instantly. Shinra Tenjung. The hair that was about to come was immediately pushed away by a strong repulsive force. Jiraiya's body fell backwards and hit the door, but he was not injured. What kind of technique is this? Jiraiya was surprised. Mizuki turned back and looked at Jiraiya. The wooden leaves have rotted, and there is no warm sunshine, which brings false growth of the trees. Jiraiya, I admire you very much and don't want to fight with you. In anime, Mizuki's favorite character is none other than Jiraiya. Unfortunately, he died in the hands of his disciples. Advertisement. Jiraiya looked at Mizuki's right eye and asked in surprise, why do you have Nagato's eyes? Nagato and the others were killed by you. Jiraiya's eyes glowed with anger. It took 3 years to teach Yahiko and the others. After leaving the country of rain, Jiraiya still paid attention to news about Yahiko and the others. But suddenly one day, he found out that 3 people from Yahiko were dead. Born in the ninja world, Jiraiya is no stranger to death. Jiraiya is not sad because he is used to people dying. Now, seeing the Rinnegan in Mizuki's right eye, Jiraiya subconsciously thought that it was Mizuki who killed Nagato and the others. All old and new grudges will be settled today. In Jiraiya's heart, there is another reason to kill Mizuki. Mizuki shook his head and said, don't talk nonsense, it's not me, I will sue you for slander. Jiraiya said, whether it is you or not, I will kill you. You are too courageous to not hide after becoming a traitor, but to come back to steal ninjutsu. These scrolls are the property of Konoha, we can't let you take them away. He stared at Mizuki and began to form seals with his hands. Ninja technique. Toad mouth binding technique. Jiraiya knows that Mizuki has the ability to apparate and is very good at escaping. Once the door is opened, he can escape immediately. So he wanted to summon the stomach of the Iwajuku toad and wrap the scroll room so that Mizuki couldn't escape. The stomach of Iwajuku toad is very strong and cannot be broken open by ordinary ninjutsu. Jiraiya's hand speed was very fast. In a blink of an eye, he completed the seal and was about to slap it on the ground. Mizuki's left eye, Eternal Mangekyo, was activated. The next moment, Jiraiya slapped his hand on the floor, and the imaginable changes did not appear. Jiraiya looked at Mizuki's left eye and asked in surprise, why do you still have Sharingan? Also, what did you do to me and why can't I perform the jutsu? Jiraiya only felt that the chakra in his body was very disordered, running around everywhere, and he was unable to perform ninjutsu at all. Mizuki said, this is my left eye Mangekyo Sharingan pupil technique, named Gao Yuhanming. The person who is stared at by my eye will not be able to control the chakra and cannot perform any ninjutsu, genjutsu, or bloodline limits. After studying for half a month, Mizuki finally figured out this eye technique. According to the terminology of the game, the effect of Gao Yuhanming's pupil technique is silence. The absolute mage nemesis, directly turning the mage into a high-level infantryman. Against non-taijutsu ninjas, 100% suppression. A ninjutsu-type ninja or a genjutsu-type ninja who can't even use ninjutsu, still has fighting power. There's nothing wrong with being called a lamb to be slaughtered. For example, Jiraiya now. This technique has no CD and consumes 0.1 chakra cards per second, and this technique can be cast on any target within sight. The disadvantage is that it can only be used on a single target, and the eyes cannot leave the target's body, otherwise the silence effect will disappear immediately. Jiraiya gasped. You? What kind of underworld magic are you doing? Mizuki smiled and said, Mangekyo Sharingan, as the name suggests, there are many strange eye skills, there is nothing surprising. Jiraiya sighed and said directly, then, you kill me. From the moment I became a ninja, I have been waiting for this day. Mizuki. I won't kill you. What, you won't kill me? Jiraiya stared at Mizuki with wide eyes in disbelief. Mizuki. Why should I kill you? Advertisement? I defected to Konoha because of the third generation. I have no grudge against Konoha, nor do I have any grudge against Konoha's ninjas. I wouldn't have defected if the third generation hadn't pressed on every step of the way. Konoha is so wonderful. It has a good environment and a lot of delicious food. Everyone here is talented. They speak well and are geniuses. Ahem. I was careless and almost spoke my mind. Jiraiya looked at Mizuki speechlessly, thinking that this was also a joke. Actually, you can still return to Konoha. With my guarantee, the third generation will not do anything to you again. I also know what the third generation did. Orochimaru defected and Tsunade traveled. This is also the reason why I am away all year round. But as one of the 5 great ninja villages, Konoha cannot be completely bright. I can see that you are not as evil as third generation said, so it's not too late to turn back now. Jiraiya is, how should I put it, very kind. This can be seen from the fact that he stayed in the land of rain and took care of and taught the 3 Nagatos. Because of the great Toad Sage's prophecy, he traveled around the ninja world in search of the prophecy's son. First it was Minato, then Nagato, and finally Naruto. Of course, he was also naive, just like Naruto. The difference was that Naruto's naive ideas came true in the end. Successfully brought Sasuke back to the village and successfully brought peace to the ninja world. And Jiraiya's naivety is really naive. Orochimaru defected, and he naively went to stop him, but failed to stop him. The ninja world searched for Orochi, hoping to bring Orochimaru back to the village, but failed. Late, third Hokage, I will let him die today. He has tried to kill me many times, and I am not one to repay kindness with evil. I, Mizuki, will avenge myself. Mizuki's tone was firm and non-negotiable. Jiraiya's expression changed, and finally he sighed and stopped talking. Okay, I won't kill you, just go away. Mizuki turned around and asked for the sealed book. Jiraiya said, give up, you can't get out the sealed book. The entire stone platform is sealed, unless you break the seal. If you break it with force, the sealed book inside will be destroyed. In addition, there is a seal on the surface of the sealed book. Even if you break the seal on the stone platform and take out the book, you cannot open it. If you open it forcibly, it will self-destruct. Mizuki thought to himself, this is the real, sealed book. In the anime, Naruto can steal the sealed book, which is just a joke. Mizuki stretched out his right hand and reached for the scroll again. The seal appeared immediately, like an inverted transparent shield, stopping Mizuki's hand from advancing. Rinnegan's right eye widened, and Mizuki shouted softly, sealing technique absorbing seal. The next moment, a suction force appeared in his palm, sucking away all the chakra in the seal. Without the support of chakra, the seal was immediately lifted. How did you do that? Jiraiya asked in surprise. Mizuki didn't explain, but picked up the scroll and put it into the storage ring. Since then, Konoha's ninjutsu scroll collection room has been completely emptied by Mizuki, leaving not even a scroll behind. He strode towards the door. Now I'm going to kill the third generation, so I won't accompany you. Goodbye. Chapter 60. Correct usage of Rasengan. Jiraiya watched Mizuki open the door and go out without saying anything to stop him. Teacher Sarutobi is to blame for the decline of Konoha today. White Fang committed suicide, Orochimaru defected, Nawaki died, Dan died, Tsunade ran away, the Senju clan fell, the Uchiha clan was destroyed. If none of this happened, Konoha would be so powerful. Jiraiya knew everything that happened in Konoha. However, as a disciple of the third generation, he is not qualified to criticize the third generation. Ninjas are born as tools and do not need to question, they only need to obey. Just like Tsunade, she can only watch everything that happens, but cannot change it, even if she is the granddaughter of the first generation. In the end, he could only leave Konoha sadly, out of sight and out of mind, addicted to gambling all day long, hoping to get rid of his troubles. Ninjas are born to die on the battlefield. Ninjas who die at the end of their lives are unqualified ninjas. Konoha should change. I believe in Tsunade, she will manage Konoha well. Sarutobi-sensei, you can go in peace. You have never been on the battlefield since the Second Ninja War. Today is your last chance. If you die at the hands of the enemy, your reputation can still be preserved. If you die of old age, then you will really be whipped to death. Why in the anime, Jiraiya only fights at the city gate to stop the giant snake, instead of helping the third generation? Because he understands Orochimaru's thoughts, which are also his own thoughts. Let the third generation die vigorously, and let the bright and majestic image of the third generation remain in the hearts of the villagers forever. This is the last great gift that a disciple gives to his teacher. Not just Jiraiya and Orochimaru, but others also think the same way. Kakashi, Guy, Kurenai, even Asuma, who wants to support third generation. They were all dealing with the minions, and Kakashi and Guy still had time to chat. Everyone is watching from the sidelines. Everyone wants to see third generation die on the spot. The value of a ninja lies in the way he dies. Sarutobi-sensei, I hope you understand. Jiraiya sighed. He knew clearly that if Mizuki died, the third generation would die. That Sharingan pupil technique called Gaoyuhunming is so incomprehensible. It's time for me to get down to business, but I can't let Konoha suffer too much damage. He left the Hokage building and rushed towards the entrance of the village, which was being attacked by giant snakes and the walls had collapsed. The battle on the roof of the Chunin exam finals venue is still going on. It has to be said that the strength of this roof is comparable to that of the 5-story Rashomon Gate. If some real estate developers saw this, they would be ashamed to the point of shame. There are battles everywhere, but if you look closely, it is not difficult to see that the people of Konoha are working hard. Especially Konoha's Jonin, they all have a pretending attitude, the kind that can last 3 minutes against a Chunin. Mizuki reappeared outside the 4 purple flame formation. This time, he showed his true colors and no longer hid. After all, third generation is a generation of heroes. Although they are not very good people, they are still prominent figures. If he died, it would be too cruel to have his epitaph read, died at the hands of an unknown ninja. Besides, being able to kill the third generation is also an honor, there is no point in hiding it. It made him afraid that others would know that he was the murderer of third generation, and that he would be looked down upon by others. Therefore, if you want to kill, you must kill openly. You must not be like Kakuzu, who throws shurikens from 800 miles away and makes a sneak attack. In the end, no one believed what he said except himself. He was even called a coward by the ninjas of his own village who could only talk but dare not take action, forcing him to defect. Not worth it. On the roof, as soon as Mizuki appeared, several rays of cold light came. Advertisement also attacking were Senbon, Shuriken, and Kunai. Spicy Tiansen. Under the powerful repulsion, all attacks were deflected, and nearby enemies screamed and flew backwards. Clear the field with one move. The people in the 4 purple flame formation also noticed the sudden change. Orochimaru's eyes lit up, especially after seeing Mizuki's eyes. He couldn't help but stick out his tongue and wash his face. Mizuki-kun, you are finally here. I thought you were going to break your promise. Mizuki glanced at Orochimaru. My tongue was hanging out. I was attracted by Sharingan and Rinnegan and became interested in my body. When third generation saw it was Mizuki, their expression became extremely ugly. At this time, the second generation's dark technique has been broken, and both the third generation and the first generation have regained their vision. Mizuki, you are indeed here. Konoha trained you to become a ninja. Not only are you ungrateful, you ended up becoming enemies of Konoha. Like Iruka, you have been an orphan since you were a child. Konoha raised you. You repay kindness with hatred and are not worthy of being a human being. Third generation started a war of words. Mizuki sneered. You didn't force me to betray Konoha. I wanted to stay in Konoha, but you drove me away forcefully. Also, let me make it clear that I have no ill intentions towards Konoha. I came here today just to kill you, third Hokage. What an orphan, why he was raised by Konoha, and why Konoha was so kind to him. He said, what does this have to do with me, Joshuimu? I just crossed here halfway, and I haven't enjoyed any of the benefits you mentioned. So, no guilt. At this time, Senju Hashirama said, the left eye Mangekyo Sharingan, and it is the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. It seems that like Madara, you are also a miserable person. While talking, he sighed, thinking that Mizuki was like Uchiha Madara. A dead friend opens Mangekyo, and a dead brother opens eternal Mangekyo. Third generation was speechless and emphasized, Hashirama-sama, he is an enemy now. Hashirama suddenly said, oh yes, he is an enemy and wants to kill you. Third generation, Orochimaru, Mizuki. This is so stupid. Enough. As expected of second generation, he is one of the 3 idiots of Konoha along with Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Naruto. If second generation hadn't been suppressed by Orochimaru's spell now, he would have complained directly. Monkey, what to do now? Hashirama asked. Third generation. Create a confined space for me. Hashirama nodded, clapped his hands, and shouted, wood style. Tree boundary wall. Around the third generation, a circle of vine-like trees quickly grew, closing over the third generation's head to form a sealed space, protecting the third generation within it. Mizuki was not in a hurry to take action. He wanted to see what other tricks third generation had up to this point. Let the first generation be quiet first. After activating the transformation, Mizuki went directly to Orochimaru and raised his right hand. Universal pull. First generation's body immediately flew towards Mizuki uncontrollably. At the same time, a black rod came out of Mizuki's left hand. This black rod can seal the chakra, and those who are hit cannot move. Even the tailed beast was impaled by the black rod and could only be captured without help. The next moment, the black rod was inserted into first generation's chest. Mizuki frowned, the touch felt wrong, a bit hard. Advertisement. Sure enough, the next moment, first generation's body turned into wood. Wood clone. When? Mizuki frowned slightly. As expected of the first Hokage Senju Hashirama, when he used the clone, he didn't even see his own eyes. No wonder Uchiha Madara was deceived by Hashirama's wood clone in the battle at the Valley of the End, and then stabbed in the back by Hashirama. This wood clone skill is amazing. Wood style. Unbutton your crotch. Countless big trees grow wildly, and the flat roofs turn into primeval forests in the blink of an eye. Everyone's vision is affected. Wood style. Wooden golem jutsu. A large number of trees gathered together to form a giant wooden golem, which stepped towards Mizuki and Orochimaru with its big feet. Water style. Water dragon bomb. Second generation raised his hand, and there was no need to form a seal at all. Lake-like water surged up from around him, turned into a water dragon above his head, and crashed towards the wooden golem. The water dragon hit wooden golem, knocking wooden golem staggering but not knocking him down. Water style. Water severing wave. Second generation sprayed out high-pressure water lines from its mouth and swept towards the wooden golem. The water severing wave, which is like a laser, can split mountains and rocks, but when it hits the wooden golem, the damage it causes is limited and it cannot be cut in two. Moreover, the injured part of wooden golem will heal in a blink of an eye. As expected of the first Hokage, the power of the technique is extraordinary. Orochimaru praised. If the impure world reincarnation sacrifice had not failed, the first generation's strength would have increased several times. Such a first generation could destroy the world with just one strike. At this time, fourth Kazekage also took action. A large amount of gold sand rushed to the wooden golem's feet and entangled the wooden golem's left foot. Sandstorm burial. The terrifying pressure caused by the squeezing of the sand deformed wooden golem's left foot and eventually crushed it into crumbs. The massive wooden golem, with its left foot damaged, immediately became unsteady and fell to the ground. Even so, the roof remains solid. Although wooden golem's left foot is damaged, it is being repaired quickly and will be intact as before. Orochimaru said. Mizuki-kun, wooden golem is very difficult to deal with. First Hokage also summoned wooden golem before, but we used a lot of means to solve it. If I want to solve it with one move, I'm afraid the only move is your wind style. Spiral shuriken. Mizuki shook his head and said, no need. The wind style Rasen shuriken is indeed powerful, but it does too much damage to the tendons of the palms. Naruto's Uzumaki clan physique and Nine Tails Chakra's high-speed recovery couldn't handle it, let alone Mizuki. Just use a regular Rasengan. I saw him raise his hand and throw a Rasengan, like a tailed beast bomb, hitting the wooden golem's chest, making a huge crater half a kilogram and 1 meter wide. This is nothing to the huge wooden golem. Big holes are being repaired quickly. But within half a second, another Rasengan exploded in the same position. The big hole had just been repaired a little bit, and now it became even bigger. This is not over. Next, one after another, Rasengan is like a machine gun, frantically hitting the wooden golem. Orochimaru was stunned. Mizuki's hands were seen moving together. After the Rasengan was thrown out, new ones were immediately formed, continuously. In 2 or 3 breaths, dozens of Rasengans were thrown out. The wooden golem opposite was so riddled with holes that there was no time to repair it. Orochimaru stuck out his tongue and licked it, then murmured, Ninjutsu, can it still be used like this? This is the Rasengan of the 4th generation. How come this powerful trick came into his hands and became a draw?